Good evening and welcome to CanHammer, your stop for Warhammer 40k from the Great White North. Today's show is episode 102. It's been a while since we were at the CanHammer team tournament, and that's what this show is going to be all about. As usual, I'm your host, CanHammer Chris on Twitter. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr.
Logan. That's CanHammer Logan on Twitter.
And I'm joined by the third member of our CanHammer team, Mr.
Darren at CanHammer _YT on Instagram.
And joining us live from Sudbury, Ontario, we have
Kevin from the Basement Collective.
Wait, that's a thing?
Welcome aboard, Kevin. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
If you want more information about what this is our bi-weekly, or sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, talk show where we talk all about Warhammer 40,000 and sometimes Age of Sigmar. You go to canhammer.ca for more information. We also run a YouTube channel and several events. I think we're running 5 to 7 tournaments this year in the Ontario area. So that's all at canhammer.ca. If you want to support us, you go to patreon.com/canhammer. Now, since it's Kevin's first time on the show, and he's also a fellow YouTuber and streamer, Kevin, how'd you get in the hobby? Who are you? What do you do, man? How you doing?
Yeah. Sorry, I do have to apologize if you hear somebody in the far background. That's my stepbrother. We share an apartment. It is what it is. I don't have a fancy headset like all these guys. But anyways, my name's Kevin from the Basement Collective. I have a twin brother named Irvin. Yes, we are identical twins, and yes, we do look identical. We started the Basement Collective about 2 years and some months ago. I got into gaming at 6th edition 40k. Funny thing was I was into Magic the Gathering heavily, and you know what? I was just spending way too. Well, I thought I was spending way too much money. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna
and then
quit.
You started 40k.
Yeah. So I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit Magic the Gathering. So I was out of Magic the Gathering for about 2 months, and then I went to my local store one day to try and sell some cards to him. I didn't know he didn't buy Magic the Gathering cards, and he said, "Hey, you've heard of Warhammer?" I was like, "Well, my roommate plays Warhammer or has a Warhammer. I mean, we never really played it." And then I started Warhammer. And then I wish I was playing Magic the Gathering still, money wise.
Really?
Yeah, well,
you don't feel you get more added value out of miniatures than cards? I feel like it's more valuable.
Sorry, it is more valuable, but it's more expensive. I mean, the way I do miniatures, I should say. I guess if you just have one army for one game system and stick with it, not like I have basically a car sitting in my room right here, brand new car just sitting there.
Yeah, you buy whole armies and sell them off, right? You basically flip them. Yeah.
All right, did that answer your question, Chris?
Well, I have a few more, but I know what you mean, because we were driving the CanHammer team, and Jason and I didn't have we had insurance, obviously, for the car, but we were like, if we get in an accident, we have $30,000 in terrain in this U-Haul trailer.
Yep. That's
no.
So tell me what the Basement Collective is.
Well, the Basement Collective started off as a YouTube channel. Actually, what it originally was a Facebook chat with me and a bunch of my local friends. We called it the Basement Collective because I rent a basement apartment and we play in the basement. And there's a collective of guys that played. Anyways, I've always had the idea of a YouTube channel. I was at Mini Wargaming one day in St. Catharines, staying with a friend of mine in Wellens, and he.
Hey guys, I'm doing.
There was an ad for a camera for sale, a decent camera. I've been looking to get one for a while, so I picked it up and started filming. It wasn't the highest quality camera, and I just started filming, posting up videos, and had a great time. So then that's how it started. And then one day I met with the Long War guys. So if you don't know who the Long War are, I guess I'm not sure. You should check them out. It's kind of a competing podcast, but they're the Americans. We're Canadians.
There's no competition here.
All right, well, it is. But the Long War guys had messaged me and said, hey, we need some people to do battle reports with for more content for our subscription service. So we really agreed to that. We sent them a couple of videos, and it was having a fun time. And then about 5 months ago, we hadn't been posting a lot of YouTube videos, kind of just, I don't know, we're not losing interest, but just didn't have enough time to post as much videos as we would like. And then the whole Twitch thing started. So we started live streaming on Twitch, and we just actually joined the Long War Twitch channel, and so we live stream. Hopefully, what I like to think are high quality battle reports 2 to 3 times a week right now. So that's what we've been doing. Yeah. So
give us a shout out. What's your Twitch address or handle? What's your Twitch?
The Twitch handle is Twinner103. It was my personal Twitch account. And I just started streaming on it. I didn't really have the foresight to change it to the Basement Collective for some odd reason. I know it seems kind of weird, but that's what it is. Twinner103. On the YouTube, we're the Basement Collective, and on Facebook, we're the Basement Collective.
Sick. So what army
Is that the eponymous basement behind you?
That
in
that
the
is
basement right now?
yeah, that's the computer. This is the computer section of the basement. The other 3/4 is the gaming section.
Sick.
Nice.
So what's your current army of choice? Because you play only 40k, right?
Yeah, no, I play 40k in Age of Sigmar.
Oh, you do? Because I know that Irving plays Sigmar. I didn't know if you're cool enough
Yeah,
to
no,
also
I play. Yeah, I trust me. I have a huge Wood Elf and Sylvaneth army. But anyways, I have owned literally every 40k army except for Sisters of Battle. Actually, I even own Sisters of Battle. I have owned every 40k army at least.
What's your favorite then? What's
okay,
your favorite? So if I was to give you a nickname and be like X Kevin, like Space Wolf Kevin, what would be your nickname?
Oh, well, what's a toss-up? Right now, the 40k armies I currently own are Grey Knights with Inquisition and Custodians, the whole like Imperial mashup portion of the Imperials. I have Eldar, and then I have Salamanders. I kind of am always going to be the Grey Knight Inquisition guy.
So Grey Knight Kevin.
But I have been loving me some Eldar for competitive events, and of course my Salamanders. I'm working on it.
Who doesn't love them? They're like
they're sweet. They're sweet. Age of Sigmar. I have Beast Collaborators. And then I have a huge Sylvaneth and a massive OOP Wanderers army. I mean, I got like so many stuff. I got many stuffs.
Cool. So we're going to move on to hobby progress. We'll start off with you, Darren. You've been doing some progress. Get your street cred out there that you actually do stuff.
Yeah, well, I got 40k'd out by CanHammer team. So when I got back, I didn't want to look at any 40k models. So I actually had to finish my corpse cart. So I did that. And like I said last time, man, I regret gluing that shit together before painting it.
Yep.
But yeah, man, I eventually got it finished. Looks decent. And then I finished off my 60 ghouls, not ghouls, 60 zombies. So finished off 60 zombies in about 2 days. Didn't take too long. Then I discovered that I needed them to have +1 attack. So I needed a vampire lord. And so I took the Vampire Lord off the Terrorgeist kit because I didn't use it.
It's a sick model.
And that's it's a pretty sick model, right? With like a nice sword or a spear. So then I stuck him on one of my Black Knight horses, which I also don't use. And then I just had to do a little bit of shaving here and there. And then boom, I have a Vampire Lord on a steed.
Looks really good, man. Looks really good.
So I did that, and then I got the 40k itch again after literally 2 days of rest. So then I cracked open my 100 Gene Stealers and I rebased them all.
Oh, I hate everybody. I'm gonna show anybody that helped Darren do 100 Gene Stealers. You deserve pain. So Darren put a shout out. He wanted 100 Gene Stealers, and he begged, borrowed, stole, and eBayed his way to 100, and it just hurts our club right now.
It took like 3 weeks. 120 or
I've
something.
got 120. I've got 127. So, but I only rebased.
Wait, are they good? Are Gene Stealers good now?
No, they're terrible.
Oh,
we don't know why he's doing this. That's why.
They are good in 1 to 2 units in a Gene Stealer cult army. They're actually fantastic.
Yeah, if you take the big hybrid blob, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
But the rest of it.
The pure strains.
Oh,
pure
you
strains.
people. Yeah, so I rebased 100 of them only. I have 27 that I haven't rebased. I've got 3 Patriarchs now and 2 squads of Acolytes. I got those off Clarence. Thank you, Clarence. And yeah, so that's coming along nicely. And I've got 2 Thunder Tusks and 80 Night Moon Clan Grots sitting over there that need to be rebased. And I've just started today my Forge World Extravaganza.
That's crazy. What's that?
This is the tail piece. The body piece of a Dreadworm.
Well, you bought a Dreadworm? Ugh.
So I have I'm making a destruction monster mash list. It's all Forge World monsters, and this is one of them. So I've got a baking tray behind me full of resin that I just washed last night. So it's ready to go.
I thought I was sick, but I'm not. You are?
Different kind of sick.
I'm kind of sick, but I got it from you, Chris. I got it from you.
That is true.
I just built this guy this morning.
So,
that's an awesome model.
There.
What's that?
Awesome.
The
So Darren's
Colossus.
holding up the
Here's my
Colossus
fist. Here's my fist.
Yeah, it's surprisingly big, and I think thanks are given to the certain somebody that picked that up at Adepticon for you.
Don't worry. I shout out it to you on the YouTube video.
It actually wasn't me. I contracted it to Kim to sub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Logan, what's your hobby progress been like?
Not much since CanHammer, but before that, I guess since the last podcast, I painted up 2 Sky Rays. I think we talked about this, the white difference between various whites. So those got done. Rebased my Calexis Assassin to use. And then I just got a package with some new models. So I got the alternate Calexis, the Tau version from Wargame Exclusive. And I got an Imperial Bunker, since I had to give Chris's back to him.
Damn straight. Kevin, what kind of hobby you been doing lately?
All right, for the CanHammer Tea Tournament, I whipped out the airbrush and painted up 9 Reaver jet bikes because I ran out of space to fit all our jet bikes in, so I figured, what else would you need? Reaver jet bikes. And then
how many Caltraps did you take in that?
One per squad.
That's what the limit is, right?
Yeah. I would have took 9 if I could.
I know. Yeah.
But anyway, so I took 3, so 3 units of 3 with caltrops. I magnetized the special, like, I'm a magnetizer freak. I love magnetizing stuff. So I did magnetize the special weapons just so in case I ever want to take them. Probably never will, but the option's there. Then I needed a Dark Elf Lamian because I needed to take 2 HQs just to fit into my list, and of course I'm going to take the 10-point HQ because, you know. And Games Workshop actually had those out of stock, and they've been out of stock for a while. And my local store didn't have any, so I didn't know what I was going to do. My local store carried a model called a Dark Elf Fleet Master, which is like a Corsair guy with like a dragon scale cloak. So it looked pretty cool. It actually has a peg leg too, which is kind of interesting. So I painted that up. And then after the CanHammer, since then I've been working on my Blood Bowl Ogre team. So I got some second edition halflings, the metal guys, stripped them up, and I've painted them. So that's what I've been doing.
Cool. I built a Magma Droth, and of course the wicked thing about the new it's not new, it's old kit, is it depending on how you build it, you get actually 2 heroes on foot that accompany it. So that was pretty stunning, because it says on the box you only get 1 hero on foot, but actually if you do the Rune Sin or the guy with the big axe on the Magma Droth, you get 2 on foot. So 3 characters for the price of 1. Nice. Fantastic. I'm just trying to move the Fire Slayer project along for the May 20th tournament that we're running. But other than that, that's been it, because I've been so sick from CanHammer Team that I spent about a week and a half in bed. So that's why we actually couldn't podcast last week, is because I've been dead.
Syphilis.
Literally dead.
So has anybody had any recent games since CanHammer Team?
Nothing here.
No, man.
Oh, Kevin! Kevin, talk about your recent game.
Well, I play at least 2 games a week just because of the Twitch stream, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, also I play like 5 I'd say 4 games a week on average. Recently I played, what did I play? Yada yada yada. Last Sunday I played an Age of Sigmar game, 2,500 points. I played my Beast Cloud Raiders versus Buddy's the new Cord Demonkin book. I don't know what it's called.
Blades of Corn.
Blades of Corn. Really,
they should have done Disciples of Corn, but they did Blades.
Disciples of Corn.
Because Disciples of Tzeentch, I thought they were going to do Disciples of Corn, and then
I don't know. It worked out well. I mean, Beast Cloud Raiders. If you don't know, of course, my Beast Cloud Raider list is how many of these big guys can I fit in, and then throw some Mornfang for my troops, right? So I played that. It went well for me. I did end up winning. He killed about 3/4 of my army, though. I mean, my favorite model in that army is a Frostlord and a Stonehorn. That thing with a Battle Brew. And with the leadership, that thing that gives him, he gets +2 to his wound, +1 to his hit. That thing just wrecks things.
Yeah, for sure.
So I played that game. I then played 1,000-point 40K game. I can't remember what armies I used. I'm pretty sure I used an Inquisition-style army. That was pretty fun. I'm pretty sure I lost that game. I don't remember really a whole lot about the game, which is kind of weird. All I remember is actually playing it. And then
you just play so many games that
I play a lot of games. And then I guess that's all I can really remember. I thought I played more than that.
Probably. Okay, so next we're going to go on to news and new release. This is, of course, sponsored by Sequence Hobbies in Brockville, Ontario. So if your question this week is read off in the air, you'll randomly get to win what month is this? April White Dwarf.
Yeah. Lots of
dwarfy
goodness in it.
It's actually a really good issue. If you saw my read through, because I had 2 bat reps in it, and
I was just paging through it earlier today. It's pretty good.
So if your question's read off on the air from Twitch, which is what we said last week, then you'll get the free one, and then we're gonna change it up for the next competition because they're gonna sponsor us every month. So sounds awesome. So we'll move on. The first set, AOS new releases. Now we're a bit behind the times with this because of course CanHammer Team Tournament, but they had the new Blades of Corn book, which was fully dropped, which is basically they took all of the Corn subsets from Chaos, put them together into one book, kind of like they did with the Disciples of Tiznach. And, Tinzuchi. So Disciples of Tzeentch. They took all the Tzeentch, put them together. Now they did it with the Corn. Now the interesting thing is that their allegiance ability is not as good as the Disciples of Tzeentch. But it's kind of cool. Is they basically mimic the KDK style mechanic where you have like blood tithe points. Now there's not as much summoning. There is one summoning one in there. The rest are a lot of just like buffing characters, getting them to move and things like that, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty solid start to the Corn book. You can take a lot of Bloodstokers and you can spend your points to really torpedo out a Bloodthirster and kill your enemies. It's pretty exciting. One of the big things that came because of this is that if you would have went to the Chaos panel on the GW website, there was like 50 sub-factions, right? Now it's way down because all the Tzeentch ones were just compiled into one, all the Corn into one. So once they do Nurgle, eventually I wouldn't be surprised if Chaos goes down to 5 or 6 sub-factions as well as Order does the same.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Nurgle would be nice.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. Like, it's just the amount of factions they have overall. Like, it's hard to find something if you're just searching without a keyword.
Yeah, exactly. The Chaos stuff was not... Well, you get all the the Clan Pestilens, the 50 different Skaven ones, I think, are all still in there. So,
Yeah.
But I'm sure those will eventually go.
Once it gets crunched down, it'll be a lot cleaner.
Yeah, Men of Rats supplement or something like that.
Playing Ninth Age here now. Can't use Skaven. We have to have something more generic.
Rat World.
Another wicked thing that came out is we actually Caradron Overlords. It's funny because like when I'm trying not to be funny, I can't say it. When I'm trying to be funny, I can say it all day. But
that's the Monocle Bros, right?
Yep, Monocle Bros.
Rolling around, top hat and monocle.
Yeah, Space Pirate Dwarves with like mustaches, monocles. I think they're awesome. They're very
metal mustaches.
Metal mustaches.
Yeah, there's no flesh visible.
Yeah.
They are awesome though.
They're pretty cool. Awesome. I took a closer look going through the new White Dwarf this month, and I got to say, pretty much everything except for Duke Harkonnen there looks pretty awesome. But that one model...
You like the bulb guys carried around by the bulbs?
I don't like that model in general, but it doesn't like rub me the wrong way. But the one dude, like the guy I'm calling Duke Harkonnen, the fat hero guy with the twirly mustache...
He almost looks like... What's that game? What's that game, like the crazy Bioshock?
Yeah, it's all very Bioshock style, like everything.
Yeah, he reminds me of that Big Papa or whatever. I never played
Big Daddy, yeah.
Big Daddy.
Yeah.
He kind of does. I love his pose. As you said, the mustache is a little bit OP, but I just love how he's like he's got his one leg up. He's got his. He definitely looks piratey. I think he's fantastic. Now these guys are wicked. One of the big things that they added to the game, which I think we alluded to last week, is transport capacity. Yeah. So you actually have transports now, and they're the same as everything else. They're essentially a monster with wounds, and then models can ride in them. Now I'm not sure 100% how this is going to transition to 40K, but it does seem like it's going to now. So
yeah, at Adepticon, and I know you guys probably already talked about Adepticon, but I sat through like the generals meeting where they talked about Age of Sigmar, and like they had the codex there, and they showed the codex to everybody. Like, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks before they actually previewed the codex, and they were really excited about the transport. The one thing my brother asked them is like, if this army is supposed to be super shooting, how are close combat armies going to live up to him? And their answer was basically, I don't think they can.
To the overlords.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be the type of like almost like the Tau of Age of Sigmar is what you're
saying. The Tau of Age of Sigmar.
I
told you Logan's gonna buy that shit.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking into that, and I know we've only seen because it's only up for pre-order, and we've seen most of the rules anyway by now. But I ran the numbers on some of the shooting, and to me, I was like, I'm gonna reach you. Like you're gonna do 10 wounds, and then I get a save. Like it looks like a lot of shots, but when you're hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s.
Yeah.
Like you're actually
Especially-
only 20 shots. You're killing 5
Well,
models.
say you're Stormcast, you're dropping in 9 inches away, or you're using Ghoul Patrol, you're appearing 6 inches away, or you got flying things. Like you'll take a round, but you'll get there.
Yeah.
I don't play a whole lot of competitive Age of Sigmar, so I don't really know all like the crazy stuff that can do. All I know is that Shooty Army. They said that the Shooty Army it's going to be scary, is what they said.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as like the Error Boys one.
Cut
Like
and
it's
ruck.
nowhere near as many shots. The other part of it is though that there's a lot of tools other armies have now. I mean, this is speaking as a bit of an outsider, but I mean a good example is you take Sail and suddenly you have a unit that's flying every turn, right? You can close ground so quickly, and the shooting. I haven't seen the dwarf stuff, but I can't imagine it's more than like 18, 24 inches for most of it. That seems to be the norm for pretty much all shooting. So
That's
get
actually
maybe one
24
turn.
inches is fantastic.
24
for
inches is
Age of
really good in
Sigmar.
AOS, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and to Chris's point, if you think about it, if you've got, let's say, 100 shots for your army, hits on 4 pluses, you're down to 50 hits. You're wounding on 3 pluses, you're down to, what's about 30-something wounds. Then you've got
Unless you get 5 up.
yeah, and then you've got saves on top of that, so you got a 4 plus. You're doing 15 wounds per turn. Like, that's nothing, right? And that's for your entire army.
It's true. And I guess we could talk about these all we want, but they're officially sold out within like 4 hours
Oh,
or
yeah,
something.
of
on
course
the
they are. They're
Games
cool
Workshop
models.
website.
Of course. I've never had as many people contact me about Sigmar
Yeah.
as since those guys were announced.
Yeah, this game is
Um,
blowing up. It
It
doing
seems
really well.
like those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the Overlords too are dragging a lot of people in. A lot of people.
I want to know how much of the stock was sold to use as squats for 40K. That's what I want to know.
95%.
Hopefully a
We'll
lot.
go 95. 40K news. Not a whole lot has
Nothing.
actually happened since the last show, which was a 40K show. We're gonna be doing some Age of Sigmar shows. Come on, we're trying, guys. We're trying. There's only so many weeks in the month, and then take it away, Logan.
Yeah, so we had Shadow War Armageddon come out, which is Necromunda 2.0. Now, I haven't played Necromunda in probably 20 years, but as far as I can tell, this is exactly the same game, which is pretty cool. So that came with 3 different pieces of terrain as well, Sector Mechanicus. I think I've only seen the rules for one of them, and they were in the show notes,
Yeah.
but Darren deleted them, so I don't know what it's called. But it's part of the Sector Mechanicus. But this thing's actually, it's interesting. So it's a giant piece of terrain. It's basically like a Sky Shield landing pad on stilts. It gives you a 4+ cover save if you're standing in it and are not a vehicle or monstrous creature. But it gives you reroll 1s for your armor saves. Now, the downside of
Cover
this...
saves.
Pardon me? For cover saves, yes, sorry. The downside of this is that every turn you have to roll a d6, and on a 1, you take d3, strength 8, AP2, ignores cover hits.
So that's the galvanic
galvanic
magnavent. There's
magnavent, yes, that's
3
the one.
pieces. The other is the phallic-looking one, and then there's the third one that looks like a thing with the skull on it.
One
But
of
the other two are the same. So you get cover save, you get reroll 1s, cover saves.
Mm-hmm.
However, the mechanic then turns into if you save your cover on a 6, then presumably it hits the thing and then it explodes, and everyone within 3 inches. For one of them, you take strength 6 AP3 ignores cover hits,
Wow.
and then for the other one, it's strength 8 AP2 ignores cover hits. So
That
it doesn't
remi-
seem like a lot of advantage to standing beside
Yeah.
these things.
What were you saying, Kevin?
Yeah, I was saying that reminds me, like, when you go to a doctor's and those commercials you see about, like, to fix your elbow or something. So my elbow's fixed, but all of a sudden my leg got blown off,
Yeah, exactly. Side effects
Yeah,
may
you
include
trade
death,
something for
anal
something
leakage.
that might be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting.
Well, yeah,
I don't
so you
think
can-
they're going to replace anything else that people are using, though.
No, they're out now, so you can buy them separately from the game, because of course the game sold out in like an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're pretty expensive. I think it's like $100 for one of those.
I was looking at the shop yesterday. They're 90, 60,
Yeah.
and 60.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive,
Pretty
but they are
pricey.
like modular, so you can like shape them into different things, and you can connect them to like the hemotrope reactors and the promethium pipes. So you
Oh,
could make
cool.
a pretty cool table, like of like kind of industrial terrain. So that
Nice.
seems pretty cool. I thought about buying them, but it's just a bit too much.
Well, GW's been on point, man. Like this stuff's fantastic.
Yeah, the kits look great. The rules, I can take them or leave them.
But you don't
But-
need the rules, man. Like
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is like
Just
so
use them.
You buy
Just
that,
use them as
you buy
random
that
terrain on the
game.
table.
You buy that game. You buy 2 kits. You have a hemotrope reactor. Because like, let's say you're a collector. You also have a void shield generator. You have like a full wicked ass table now.
Yep.
But I mean, outside of a few select fortifications, who actually uses rules for
Really?
terrain?
Not many people. Not
Not
like
many
just
people.
random stuff on the table.
Yeah.
They're either abused or they're not used at all.
Yeah.
Like there's that new what's that
Yeah.
bunker that comes in the Renegade Night box, the one that you can like stack it and make like a wall to put Kairos behind. And it's like 25 points.
Oh.
Like that's abused.
Yeah, that
What's
one
that
is
called?
starting to get abused pretty much. It's the... I have one. It's got the big eagle on it.
Yeah, it's like there's
Oh,
abuse
man.
and then there isn't, and it's
Oh
like
yeah, that thing's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
you
there's
know what?
huge
I just
wall.
I never liked the idea of playing a building in my 40K list. No matter what event I went to, you can't move it. It's just there.
Yeah, it's got...
See, I
there's
feel
some
the same
distinct
way.
advantages to it, though, right? Like, to Chris's point with that one, or the... like, you used to do it with the Imperial... Not the bunker. The Bastion. Back when Fate Weaver was the smaller model, you just take that to put like Fate Weaver or your Hive Tyrants or whatever behind it, so they couldn't get shot off turn one.
Magnus hides behind a
Yeah,
bastion.
Magnus can go behind it, and then of course there's
Yeah.
a bunch of other stuff, right? Like the crates, or you take the Calexis or Sisters in a bunker or something like that. There's lots of
Yeah, the
tools for
slingshot
it.
bunker.
But yeah, I mean it is a little weird in flavor. You just have this portable building that travels with your army but can't move once it's on the table.
I always thought like they missed an opportunity there. You could have done something where attacker defender style scenarios, like they used to in third edition. They had like attacker defender, and then they had like pitch battle, and then they had
Yeah.
And it would be cool if like, oh, I'm a defender, so therefore I get a free building up to so many points, or I'm allowed to take like because not everybody plays tournament games, but you could be like, well, because we're playing attacker defender, we're rolling on that chart of missions, I then could take a building. I don't like that it's like, so your tower invading a planet, they get first turn and they brought a bunker.
Yeah.
Like
Now, in fairness, there's no reason you can't go back and play the third edition missions, right? They still
That's
work
true.
just fine, and there are some like they're horrendously imbalanced, but they're really fun for just playing in your basement.
Hey
Well, they
man,
had third
8th edition this year. We don't know what's coming.
yeah, I
Three
hope,
ways to
We got
play.
an inkling, but
3 ways to play.
like even in Age of Sigmar, I know some pieces of terrain, but just even like the Sylvaneth with their forest spam, it just
Yeah.
seems like it. Like whenever you can buy terrain, unless it's pointed super appropriately, it always
it'll
seems
get
to
abused.
cause issues. And the other issue too that I had is when you buy a comms relay for a bunker. This came up at Adepticon. I know I'm getting off topic. We'll move on in a second. So you buy a comms relay for a bunker. Is it mounted on top of the bunker or is it next to the bunker?
The rules do not specify.
The rules do not specify. And if it's on top of a bunker and you're in a bunker, do you count as manning it? Or if you're next to a bunker, do you count as manning it? Or do you have to have a model outside the bunker touching it to man it?
So it's interesting. So the FAQ cleared this up sort of indirectly, right? So if a model is embarked in a vehicle, which
It's
for
off the
rules
table.
purposes you are if you're in a building, you're off the table. So technically, if you are in a bunker or in a bastion or whatever, you can't possibly use the comms relay or whatever is on the roof. You'd have to be
Yeah.
on the battlements on top.
you counted as off the table?
Yep, you're
Even
no
though you can
longer on the
shoot-
table.
Even though you could witch fire and shoot through the.
Correct.
The
The rules
Alright,
make the
cool.
rules make no sense in terms of fluff, but for mechanics purposes, it solves a lot of problems that otherwise
So-
would come up.
Now, does the bunker still count as? I guess it counts as being controlled by you because
Yes.
you're embarked in it, so therefore it can score.
Correct. So any building you ever take in an army list always counts as being controlled by you, the purchasing player, until an opposing player occupies it.
And a comms relay does not count that way, though.
Comms relay is just a piece of terrain. Any model within 2 inches can use it.
Yes, and if nobody's within 2, you don't get to use it.
That is correct.
Yep, sounds good. I just wanted to make sure that we were clear there because I was going down a rabbit hole. So is there anything else under news or
So let's wrap up the news here. The Dawn of War 3 beta is out. Release is looking, I think, late summer. Now I haven't had a chance to play this. I didn't get into the beta, but it looks pretty cool. I was watching In Control streaming. If you haven't checked out In Control, it's Twitch TV/In Control. Like big Warhammer player. It's Jeff Robinson. You may know him by for the Warhammer side of things. Cool guy. Actually gives us shoutouts on his channel pretty often, which is really cool.
Nice.
But yeah, check that out. He's been playing it a lot in the beta, and it's looking pretty fun. I'm really looking forward to the single player.
The open beta is on the 21st.
Oh, excellent! Coming
April
up soon.
21st.
I think it's
For 3 days.
multiplayer only for the beta, though, right?
Multiplayer open beta, yeah.
Yeah,
For
so-
3 days on the 21st.
If you are
Darren, we
interested
can't
in
play.
multiplayer, check it out.
I was
don't wanna
thinking about it, but I
We're gonna
suck at
lose
games
you forever.
like that.
We're gonna lose
I
you
suck
forever.
at those games. I'm already trying to deal with my NES Classic over here.
There you go. And then
Yeah,
last
I just
but not
don't
le-
play
Oop,
video games.
Yeah.
I just don't like video games.
Oh, you guys are weird.
It's for the better.
You guys are weird. Anyway, last but not
Yeah.
least, We just broke 2,500 subscribers on YouTube, so thank you very much, everyone.
Hey,
Glad you enjoy
guys
our
are gonna
content.
Pass us soon.
Yeah. Hopefully.
We've been pretty stagnant at 2,900, but we've been only releasing like an average of one video a week. So
Yeah, Darren fortunately just has no life and keeps making content for us.
I have a few videos I got to do too. I just been
it's,
delaying.
it's been good. We got a really solid team here now, so we're getting a bunch of stuff out, and it's great to see that people are enjoying it because the sub numbers has been flying up, especially since we
thanks,
started
guys,
doing Age of
and
Sigmar
the
stuff.
podcast numbers as well have been on the
Yeah,
rise.
the podcast we've been getting the most traction I think we've ever gotten in the show by a huge amount.
It's ridiculous.
Thanks.
I'm like,
Big thanks, everyone.
wow, that many people listen. They must. This is bad.
Suckers.
you just gotta invite more big names like me and Dan Platt onto your show,
There
and
you
then
go.
it'll work.
We need the B.
Also,
Collective.
No, I'll
I
just
forgot to
find a picture of
mention,
Dan Platt here.
Yeah, so on the Vox, I've got 3 more coming. One I'm actually doing right after this podcast. I won't tell who they are, but 3 decent-sized names in the Warhammer community I'm going to be interviewing over the next couple of weeks. So, and I'm working on one marquee person.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But we're going to move on to Events Spotlight. We have CCBB. Registration is going fairly strong for that. We have Age of Sigmar Doubles, Age of Sigmar Sim Goals. That's in August. It's our big convention. We have 104 people, I think, interested on Facebook. So if you are
I
interested,
still haven't
please buy a
registered.
ticket. I know you basement relective guys. Let me down.
We will.
One on top of that.
It's a really good time. It's 3 days. We're turning it into more of a convention, and you could play War Machine, you could play Hobbit, you name it, you can play it. It's done, except for Ninth Age and Kings of War, sadly. But
30K.
In the works.
To
In
be
the works, right,
determined.
Logan?
To be determined.
In the works.
If people are interested in 30K at Bloodbath, please let us know. We've had a few people contact us, but when I say a few, I mean 2 or 3, which unfortunately does not really make it worthwhile. But if there is critical mass, we do have some folks that are interested. So, as I said, please let us know, because if there's enough demand, we can definitely look at getting something going.
I'm leaning towards not
what
this
day
year.
would that be, though? What day would that be on?
It would
Sunday?
contradict everything
It would overlap with the other events is the other part of it. So if you were
Yeah.
coming for that, you wouldn't be playing, you wouldn't be playing 40K or AOS.
Yeah, that's the one thing is we don't want. One of the main goals too is the 40K is the premier GT there, and we don't want to have basically a game that just contradicts our main one. Like War Machine players don't tend to overlap with 40K. Sigmar players generally don't as well. But cool. Next one is Chaos Ludique is this weekend, April 22nd, 23rd. Reg is closed, but it's in Montreal, so check those guys out. I was unable to make it. And then Darren, we have our
Day of Blood, yeah. May 20th, Age of Sigmar. We've got, 14 now, Chris? 14, I think?
13. My brother's a douche
13.
dropped out.
Yeah. I know 2 people who just haven't signed up yet, but they're coming. And so we're actually going to be a great turnout. I might not actually even get to play.
It might hit 20. Yeah, it's looking like it'll hit 20.
Yeah, so
Buy
2,000
tickets
points.
now, it's going to sell out.
I would like to go, but I'm not driving 6 hours for a one-day tournament.
It's because you're a coward.
Yeah.
No, it's because I'd rather play. I would rather play more than I drive.
That's true. I respect that.
Yeah, so 2,000 points, general handbook, and you can bring your Caradron Overlords, so
There you
maybe
go.
we'll see some there. Who knows?
I don't
They might
think
not be
so.
painted yet, but you don't think we'll
That's
see
it.
any Caradrons there? We might.
Nope. And it should be pointed out we are using General Handbook 1.0, even though the 2.0 points are available in War Scroll Builder. We are not using 2.0 points, which hurts me.
Are the full points available? Are all the points available?
I think so. Yeah.
I just wondered.
All the units that I've tried to build lists with are available on War Scroll Builder.
But it's not like official GW yet.
But it's not official.
Okay.
It is official, but it's not official.
But well, at Adepticon they said it was official.
Yeah, but they're testing it, and so we're gonna go with 1.0, which hurts my beautiful Firestorm.
But all the points for all the armies are up on 2.0?
On War Scroll Builder, correct.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out later.
And that's in Multizone in Gatineau, Quebec, which is a store that gives us lots of love and lots of support. So please check them out. And if you're in Gatineau, please support Multizone and FDB, same owner. But
And actually, yeah, so Dylan's going to be starting to stock a whole bunch of more GW stuff, and I think he's planning on stocking fat mats, and so I think the sort of wargaming side of things in the store is going to go up in profile. So
pretty dramatically.
which is great. Yeah.
Right on. So next, ETC news, and then we'll move on to CanHammer Team Tournament 2017. So we did drop out of the ETC team. I don't know if people, this is official. We dropped out due to work reasons and commitments. So we had an election, we had applicants, and Ben, he was basically elected unanimously to be our new non-playing coach for the Canadian ETC team. He has experience playing on the South English team, as well as has played in lots of ETC events. So he brings a plethora of experience to the table. And his father's Canadian, so he's technically Canadian.
Good enough. Let him get away with it this time.
You can just naturalize him in the next few months.
Well, you know what? He's basically signed up to do a ton of work and come and help us at the event and not play a single game. So I say, hats off to you, man. That's awesome. Thanks for helping us out. Next, we go on to the main segment, CanHammer Team Tournament 2017. So all four of us attended this event. It's run by John Green and myself. I do some of the background work for it. It was 80 players this year with 20 teams of 4. So I'll hand it over to you guys. Logan, what is the ETC and why should you care?
All right. Technical issues. Okay, there we go. So the ETC is the European Team Championships. Up until very recently, this was the largest Warhammer 40,000 or Warhammer period tournament in the world. Basically, the idea is you have 8-man teams from every country that wants to participate, and those countries are split up based on FIFA rules. So, for example, you have England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland instead of just a UK team. So it's usually, I think, 30 teams last year, something like that.
It can vary.
It's a pretty sizable event. They also run 9th Age. I think they had a small Kings of War event as well. And I think Flames of War at ETC as well.
Yeah, they have a Flames of War ETC. They used to have a war.
No Age of Sigmar, no. We'll see if that changes in the coming years. But it wasn't really until mid last year that AOS was tournament viable at all. So we'll see if that changes.
Well, it's not just that. So I'll give my little, try not to be too salty. Basically, when the new edition came out, it was the ETC, a lot of the ETC captain/council that built 9th Age. So, of course, they went with 9th Age instead of Age of Sigmar because they wanted to continue along that avenue. I know that Mantic had supplied Kings of War rulebooks to every fantasy team in the hopes that they would just move to Kings of War and drop Age of Sigmar, of course. But instead, they chose to go to 9th Age, which is when I stopped being interested at all. So, that's that.
Okay.
Conflict of interest.
I suspect that AOS is going to appear. The thing about it, though, is that you have to take like one faction per team, right? So I guess everybody would literally just have to play a different faction.
Well, there's so it depends how you do it.
Yeah, if it's by faction instead of Grand Alliance, it wouldn't be too bad.
Could do, if you do 8 people, you could do 2 people get you can have 0 to 2 of each you can have 2 of each. I would do it this way. I've been thinking about it a lot today because I want to run a 4-man AOS ETC event, but but I'm not going to. But but basically, what would be cool is if they said, okay, you're allowed 2 order, 2 death, 2 destruction. What's the one? Whatever, 2 chaos, and then you can't duplicate allegiance within those factions. That'd be pretty cool if they did that for Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, I guess that'd work. Yeah.
Right, because the thing is with the 4-man, if you just said Grand Alliance, you would basically have Stormcast, you know what I mean? You'd have a Stormcast player, and then you'd have, so that wouldn't be totally fun. Yeah. But anyway, so the way the ETC works is it's, as Logan said, it's 8-man teams. You can't duplicate a book. So if I happen to take one Blood Angels character or a Blood Angels character in a Scout Squad in my army, then nobody else on my team can take Blood Angels, and so on for all the factions. And so it starts getting really hard when you get up to 8 people. Now, CanHammer team, we only did 4, which meant that it was actually not so hard to create your team makeup, right?
Yeah, lots
because
of
you had
options.
So many, lots of options.
No, you have your Eldar, then you go from there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Now,
Gennaro,
the cool thing,
Tau, and then 2 more.
Well, the wicked thing about this is that it actually really hurts a lot of the Imperial armies because when you go to like an ITC event, you'll see like Space Marines with 5 other friggin' little. Well, it's not 5, but I'm exaggerating. But you know, they're a mixed match of all these different books, whereas you don't see that. You tend to see a lot of the good standalone alien races tend to be fantastic ETC books, like Tau, like Yanari.
Yeah, if you play Space Marines, it kind of obligates you to just play Battle Company, basically.
Which is fluffy.
Which is fine. It's a decent list, but you know that's kind of what you're narrowed down to playing for Space Marines because you limit the the allying.
Yeah, the other thing you get is one of the sort of popular builds, at least in the US players for ETC style stuff, is if you're going to run Space Marines, yeah, you can do that, and then the problem is, of course, then you can't take the Librarius Conclave for anyone else, right? Because you've taken a Space Marine player, so you'll end up getting the Dark Angels Librarius Conclave in another list.
Well, the Space Wolf one's better.
Not really. Depends what you're going for, right? But there are definitely options. Now that said, since last year's ETC, Space Wolves got some ridiculous stuff as well with electro displacement.
They got some hardware. Oh yeah, they got some hardware.
All that list? Oh my goodness.
So while we're on this subject of lists, we're not going to go through everybody's list, just our teams, because we actually represent 4 teams here. So we'll start with you, Kevin. What team did you play on?
Well, I played on the Basement Collective.
What?
Imagine that, eh?
So what did you personally play, and what was your team makeup, and why?
I played Yanari with 2 Wraith Knights, because I'm that guy. And then we had a guy named Sergey, who played in the ETC before. He was the guy who joined because Eric's or another teammate's wife couldn't join us. But he played Knights, Flying Hive Tyrants, Sisters of Silence. All right, and then my brother played Space Wolves, Librarius Conclave, and Tau Riptide Wing.
Wow.
And then we probably would have placed higher than 7th position if we didn't have this list. We had a 1,000 Sun Marine player. Like I'm telling you, Deep Striking, Terminator, 1,000 Sun Squads, and Marines. So yeah.
No Magnus, or did you have Magnus even?
No Magnus. Like straight up Marine 1,000 Suns. We like.
Oh, that was Eric, right?
Eldar each time.
Yeah.
We fed him to the Eldar. But yeah, that was
funny.
our list.
Why did you guys pick that makeup? Is just because he has 1,000 Suns, he's playing 1,000 Suns, and I know actually he was impressed because he painted his army for this event, which is a first for him, right?
Well, his wife painted the army mostly, but
Nice.
her Christmas present was painting his army. He would tell you he painted some of it, but like barely any. Hopefully he's not listening.
He's like standing there with the whip, like paint.
My brother, I, and Sergey really talked about, like, we made a whole spreadsheet of who's we could do well, and we kind of just assumed Eric only had 1 painted army, and he was in our team, so he was going to play 1,000 Sun Marines no matter what, Rubik Marines. So yeah, we just so we kind of talked about. Obviously, I'm playing Eldar with 2 Wraith Knights because that's awesome, and then we kind of went from there, and we just kind of made our matchup and made a whole Excel sheet that Sergey had. It was really cool, actually.
Nice.
Cool. So Logan, what was your team makeup like?
Right, so we had myself playing Tau with a Riptide Wing, Storm Surge, and Colexus in a bunker. And we had Diogo running double Wraith Knight Yanari. You'll see a trend with that one.
With a mask.
With a mask. The mask was money. Mask was such a good choice.
Yeah, mask is money, especially in Eldar.
Then we had Clarence running a White Scars Battle Company. And we had Skylar running War Convocation with Sisters in bunkers. It was Sisters in a bunker. So we were sort of limited to playing what we had, right? We didn't have a demon player that we could pull necessarily, or at least nobody super familiar with it. And this was Clarence's first set of games since he's been back from Korea for like 2 years. So he has not played much 40k. So he was very out of it. So he wanted to play something he was at least somewhat familiar with. Also, he has a beautifully painted, fully done up 30k based White Scars Gladius, which I think he runs as Luna Wolves in 30k. That's what it is, which is super cool. So he was using that. And then Skylar only plays War Convo, and for the most part, I only competently play Tau, and the competence is debatable. But based on the feedback we got from other teams, our set up for the list was actually really good because we had one or two teams where we had really bad matchups, but those bad matchups, for the most part, we were able to mitigate to get non-zero results. Though there were some some stumbling blocks throughout the tournament, as we'll talk about.
I think considering you didn't have Magnus, I think that's probably like the best you could have done in terms of makeup, right? Like
Well, I don't know about that one.
armies.
I don't know about that one. In 4 armies,
Maybe
I
not
actually
the
don't
best,
think-
but
I don't
it's
think
certainly
you need a demon. You don't need a demon player because we looked at their lists and we were like
You
super
went full robot,
impressed and
Chris.
super scared because. What are you talking about?
You're good now. You went full robot there for a second.
Oh,
Just repeat
we
what
were
you said.
super impressed just because. Let's just say you don't need demons now. We were just super impressed that
I don't know.
they,
Demons are a really good counter to, well, at least in my opinion, to an Eldar army. My Eldar, the
Sure.
hardest list I played was the demons with my Eldar. Couldn't do nothing to them.
But one of the things too is that like in a 4-man format, you're going to get a lot of psychic Death Stars. I think you get a little bit less of them when you go 8-man because you can't have like the Librarius Conclave. And when you looked at Logan's team's list, it was like Calexis, Sisters of Silence, Mask, right? So it was a lot of like even if demons are a really good matchup to Ynnari, he has the Mask to be like you on the ground. So now Magnus can't do what he's got to do through most of the board. So. I thought your makeup was fantastic. And I think not having a demon player wasn't a bad thing, right?
No,
you took the best part of the demon book. And
Yeah, it worked out really well for us. There were a couple, like, looking back on it, there are definitely some things we would have tweaked, but for the most part, we were really happy with it. So
yeah,
what
like
about
our list. We'll go to you, Darren. Sorry.
So I played with Jamie, Caleb, and Ron, and we didn't go into the tournament aiming to win it or anything. So we just decided to just play what we wanted to play. So it just so happened. So I brought my Lion's Blade with Riptide Wing. No one else played Tau, so I thought, well, I'll take Riptide Wing then.
Yeah, that's
I was gonna.
that's such an abnormal ETC list, but it's so good. But it's just like
Yeah, I was gonna actually just bring full Lion's Blade, or Lion's Blade with Raven Wing, but then I was like, well, I'm gonna be facing so much crap. I gotta bring some crap of my own, otherwise I'm just gonna die. So I did end up bringing my Riptide Wing, and then Caleb brought his Magnus list, Magnus with Demon Princes. I can't remember. And then Ron brought Iron Hands with Librarius and Skyhammer.
I feel bad about that game still.
And then
We'll get to
actually Jamie brought 5 Knights, which seemed to be actually one of the more successful matchups for us.
5 Nights is fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was our team basically.
So I went with a pretty serious team, but because Jason and I do a lot of the terrain and behind the scenes stuff, we didn't have a lot of time to prep, so our lists, I think, reflected a few slight errors in them, in that we were missing Calexis, Sisters of Silence, and the Mask from our entire team makeup. I don't know if anybody noticed that we didn't take any of that or Inquisition. Yeah, that was just because our list got thrown together the night before they were due, because we wanted the full points, and which is pathetic to say. But anyway, so what we originally wanted is we wanted a full Tau player, because I believe in the power of Tau. Full Ynnari player, because Ynnari are disgusting. We wanted full demons, and then we wanted like a battle company. But Kieran said, I don't want to play battle company. I want to play Ynnari. So Max couldn't borrow my Eldar, and then Max had to make his own army, so Max took 3 Knights and the Riptide Wing. Jason made a huge Bark Star Death Star, because that's what he's playing at the real ETC. And in the real ETC, of course, a Bark Star would not have a Calexis, would not have Sisters of Silence, and would not have a Mask.
Yep.
So we didn't throw any of that in. And then I took Demons with Magnus, but I didn't take the Mask because I was still going for Chaos Spaceman rankings points, which looking back on was a blunder. But that was our team makeup. But so it's kind of a weird mix match. Now Max's list, which I thought was fantastic, even though you'd never take to a real ETC event, the 3 Gatling Knights and then the 3 Riptides, I think is a really, really good combo.
Yeah.
And he got a lot of points, and that's the counter Tau list from hell. Like that kills other Tau.
Yes. Those knights are terrifying.
And even certain Death Star lists. And he went through some AdMech armies a little bit. But not too great on the AdMech, but some of them he really tore up. So it's a pretty solid list. Now back to Darren's team there at the 5 Knights. The Knights are just so fantastic in this format because they gave 1 kill point.
Yeah.
So When every single game has so we should talk about it. Every single game had objectives at the end of the game worth 12 points differential, had 8 kill point differential, and had Maelstrom. So if you took 4 knights, let's say, and like a small cad or something, you literally were going in, winning the kill point differential, getting probably some of your Maelstrom, and maybe even winning a few objectives. So like it's a strong list in ETC.
So I was the opposite, right? Every game I'm automatically 8 victory points behind because I'm just gonna lose with Battle Company.
I'm even
right?
worse.
So,
I had 24 units or something, 24 kill points, something ridiculous like that.
But at least
Yeah,
Shinari
so-
can do the damage, right? Like
So
you can
same
do
with
the
me,
damage
right?
back.
Like I've got all the squads, and then I've got all the transports, and I've got throwaway units, and it's just like I'm just bleeding kill points. I'm 8 behind and that was the difference in almost all my games. If I wasn't that 8 behind to start with, I would have been way more competitive across the board against any list.
But I also feel like, though, that Battle Company, on the other hand, you just go aggressive as hell for Maelstrom. Like, you score every Maelstrom you can every turn, and if you can't score it, you discard it.
Yeah, but the way the Maelstrom was so random and not, like it just didn't work out that way, that it was a huge advantage, especially as the game got onto 4th and 5th turn, and if it goes beyond that. I didn't feel that really was a swinging point. I won Maelstrom almost all my games, but not by a lot, and that's what I was doing. I knew I wasn't going to kill a lot of shit. I was just kind of parking on Maelstrom, using OPSEC and trying to do that. But even with that, it didn't seem to be as much of a swing as being 8 victory points behind, like automatically.
Yeah. Do you think maybe that was in part of the Riptides not doing enough damage, whereas maybe more Grav cannons?
My Riptides were doing damage.
They were.
If I was going to optimize my list, I would have taken more drop Melta, and dropped a few other things. I wouldn't take the Dreadnought in the ETC format, I don't think. Yeah. Another command squad with more Melta would have been more useful. But yeah, no, the Riptides. My one Riptide. Well, I guess we'll come to this later. But my Riptides were the bomb.
That's an interesting question, though, Chris, about taking more Grav. We actually, so our battle company on our team was almost exclusively Grav. I think plus Melta on 2 command squads on bikes. What we actually found was it was way too much Grav. Because you can cater your matchups to a certain extent, right? The Grav was overkill. If anything, we wanted less of it and more heavy bolters, or even perhaps more Razorbacks.
Yeah, so I tell you, my heavy bolters did a lot of work. I had only 3 Grav cannons. I would have wanted 4, but not 5, and I needed more Melta guns.
Yeah, I guess because like you're seeing a battle company, you're gonna put your demon player and your Bark star, or your.
Precisely.
I think that's what we tried to do to Clarence. We tried to put. I think it was me and the Bark, and he chose the Bark, right? Am I remembering that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Because then it's like you literally
Rhino
lost 500 points of Grav. You're like your 500 points of Grav mean nothing,
basically
right?
does nothing.
I do see that. Yeah. Cool. So we're not gonna go through all our games. We're gonna do who your team played, and if the game was like memorable, we'll go quickly because there's just too many of us. So we'll start with your team, Logan. Who'd you guys play round 1?
So round 1, we played against Forbes' 2nd Legion, I believe. This was the Forbes' first Legion.
Forbes'
first Legion, pardon me. And for a couple guys on the team, it was actually their very first tournament they'd been to, which was really cool. So hopefully they had an enjoyable time, despite getting spanked. I don't know if we had any super standout matches. I guess the interesting thing was this is, I think, probably one of the first few times that my opponent had played against Tau with his War Convocation, and it hurt him deeply. Yeah. It hurt his soul. So hopefully the feedback I was able to give him was helpful. But it was a bit of a rough introduction to the tournament for him, because that was a really bad matchup for him, combined with just sort of inexperience against it.
Yeah, so I might as well go because Logan spoiled it. We played Forbes' 2nd Legion round 1. Now, the draw, we should say, was done a week in advance, so people knew all the lists were out in advance, so everybody did that. Our matches went off on point against these guys. We figured they would. We avoided any counter-psyker stuff. The only thing that was a bit off was maybe that Magnus Demon List is pretty good against Battle Company, but it's also can be very bad against Battle Company. It's just whether or not my spells, like, if I Nova and I get Strength 5, Strength 6, I can actually kill 3 Rhinos in a turn, or D-Beam. But if my stuff doesn't go off, it doesn't go off, right? But so I got Nathan Cerrone. They also had, I think there were 3 guys that were first tournament players, brand new guys. They were going in for fun, and we had a really good game. And I won 16-4, and our team won, I think, 4 points off. So I was the only one that did get perfect, but that was that. Great guys to play against. I hope they return, because Forbes did 3 teams. Forbes is a store in Cambridge. They sponsor the event. They give us huge discount on all of our prizes. They pay for some of the shirts, which Kevin's wearing one right now, and they give us a credit for those, so he pays part of them, but he has his logo on there. Cool. So Darren, who'd your team play round 1?
We played Greater Windsor 1, I think, or 2, 1. Greater Windsor Warriors 1, who ended up being 3rd or 4th or something.
Yeah,
I can't
that's
remember.
a mysterious. Spoilers alert! That team is a lot of really good people on it that a lot of people don't know about. That's the one thing about Windsor, is they have about 3 or 4 really good players.
So I don't think we really knew how to do the matching system properly. So I ended up with the one team that I didn't want to play, which was the Yanari. I played Ryan with I don't know how many scat bikes he had, Wraith Knight, Vols D batteries, and the Ulthway Strike Force. So I'm like, okay, I have some. I actually have played a lot of Yanari recently, so I'm like, okay, well, I feel I have some experience dealing with this. I've used line of sight. You know, my Marines are not necessarily going to wipe a whole squad in one round of shooting. So I actually ended up. I had to not supercharge my Riptides because I didn't want them to kill shit. So I ended up using like the jump pack moves a lot and the invuln. Well, I didn't really need invulns either. So, and I just that was a great match. I'll spoil it first of all. I tied 10-all.
Nice.
Against this list, and the highlights for me, first of all, was 4 drop pods basically occupying his Vols D batteries the whole game. He's just plinking all points off the drop pods the whole game, scattering onto him, trying to scatter onto himself to soul burst himself. And then I took the Raid Knight out turn 2 with some grav, and then basically I took almost all his bike units down to either 1 or 2 bikes left until the end of the game, and then mopped them up. I think it was turn 4, he shot his whole army into 1 Riptide. He counted it up 160 something scatter laser shots, not a single wound taken.
Nice.
So that Riptide just stood there on top of the building and just tanked the whole army, which was, he was. It was a little bit salty after that. But he thought the game was over, but I knew it was far from over because I was down on kill points, and because I couldn't get kill points, I didn't want to kill his units.
Yeah, that's the worst part about Yanari.
So annoying. So so I ended up tying that game. So that was a good game. That was actually my favorite game of the tournament.
Sick. Kev, who'd you play?
We played Team Moot Green, which is, I guess, a newer team or a less competitive team. Great guys, though. Great team. Unfortunately, the way it worked out, my parent ended up being a Space Marine player that wasn't playing a battle company. He was playing Dark Angels. We had a cool formation I've ever seen where 3 Vindicators and a Land Raider form 1 formation or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you put Azrael in it?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Now,
That's
the
awesome.
really interesting thing about this, and if you don't, my buddy Eric, who has been to a couple events to me run by these guys, never won a tournament game in his life. He's gotten last at 3 or 4 big tournaments now. He won his first tournament game ever in that matchup, and it was against Tyranids. It was against Tyranids.
Nice.
That had flying hive tyrants. So I don't know how he won it, but he did. So he was super psyched about that. Like that's a 1,000,000% more than he's ever won at a tournament, a bigger tournament, I should say.
Yeah, I know. I remember he was talking about that. He was super excited. I was like, yeah, good. That's awesome, dude. Because he loves playing. You could tell that guy just loves to play and doesn't actually care if he wins.
No, he just loves playing. Yeah, and I did 20-0 my opponent, though, which was unfortunate for him.
Cool. So, Logan, round 2?
All right, round 2.
Unfortunate.
Round 2, we got paired up with Team America. Team Murica. Team Murica. So this was Zach Bowles, Josh Death, Garner, can't remember his last name, and Dave Koska. So they when they came into this tournament, they were, I think, for a lot of people, the favored team to win it because they brought very, very strong lists, and they're all exceptionally good players. So our pairing went sideways. because there were some last minute changes. So both of us ended up doing pairing the wrong way, unfortunately. So I ended up playing against Casca, who's running War Convocation, which should have been an easy match for me. He is exceptionally more experienced than every other War Convo player I've played against, and he played it
really good.
incredibly well. Basically, he null deployed me, which is fine. So I had him go first. Basically, he asked to burn canticles, or I'm going to be able to shoot him turn 2 just by walking up. So he popped the pop shroud song, which is I think he did anyway. I can't remember what he did, but turn 2, a bunch of his reserves come in, and he actually outflanked almost everything, which was really cool, instead of infiltrating it or just putting in normal reserves, and rolled perfectly for it. So every single unit came in right next to my army. So the infiltrators come in, give everything a huge negative weapon skill, ballistic skill, initiative, strength, toughness bubble. The Rust Stalkers are right behind that. Cataphren Destroyers come in on that from normal reserves on that same part of the table. So I'm basically stuck in a corner. I have to shoot down these infiltrators, and meanwhile there's a knight bearing down on me, running across the table. So I ended up just getting picked apart for the first couple turns. But around turn 3, there was a huge turning point. And I was able to clear off about half the board in one turn with very little left. It was just hot dice and cold dice on Casca's side. And if the game had ended this is sort of the story for the tournament for me. If the game had ended turn 6, it would have been a tie. Unfortunately, it did roll to the turn 7, and I lost my last model. My Storm Surge died to a Hammer of Wrath. And this was after the same Hammer of Wrath from that night killed a
I support
Calexis,
this message.
a bunker,
of that.
and then my Storm Surge. So
That night
Hammer of
is
Wrath for the win.
on
That night
point.
did work. But that was good. So we ended up losing that round, I think, like 20-60 or something. I want to say one of our players pulled off a really big win. Or I pulled off a win, period. Clarence got close to a tie against Zach. That was mostly sort of some inexperience on both sides. I got destroyed, and Skylar unfortunately had to play against an Electro Displacement Death Star, which of course never played against. We mostly play ITC, and I think he got tabled on turn 1.
Yeah, that electro displacement, your deployment really matters.
Yep.
And if you make one mistake, you lose your whole army.
Yeah.
You gotta bubble in 2 corners and play like that kind of game with bubble wrap. Cool. So we'll go on to you, Darren. You're round 2.
Yes, we played Greater Windsor Team 2 or 1 if the last opponent was 2. I can't remember. I ended up playing a guy called Clement. So what's funny is my first opponent was Ryan. That's my younger brother's name. My second opponent was Clement. That's my older brother's name. So it was destiny that I played these 2 players.
Nice.
And Clement's not a very popular name. So, it was not a very common name. So what are the chances? Anyway, so he was playing...
Clement,
Yeah, he was playing a pretty quote-unquote fluffy towel list, not Riptide Wing, Storm Surge, all that stuff. It was a Retaliation Cadre and a Hunter Cadre. Only one Riptide, which was weird to me. I'm like, only one Riptide? What the hell? And then like a bunch of Fire Warriors, some Pathfinders, the silly-looking tank with the thing sticking out of it,
Hammerhead?
some Breachers. Yeah, and then a Buffmander Bomb with some... dudes,
Crisis suits.
whatever those suits, crisis suits, and then a bunch, and then 3 those stealth suits, which are really annoying, and then the flying
Oh, the
commander
Cold Star
thingy.
Commander.
Yeah, which I felt this strange urge I must shoot this thing down, but I decided not to because it just seemed like a waste of firepower.
Very good.
But
Yeah.
but I'd heard that it's really easy to kill if you can shoot it down, so I was like, oh, maybe I should shoot it down, but whatever.
It gets doubled out by because it's only toughness 4, so the grounding test will
Yeah,
kill it
yeah.
instantly.
So it was a tough matchup for him. My Dreadnought actually came in turn. So he took turn 1, and most of his army was off. I think the Retaliation or whatever comes in automatically. All comes in on turn 2. So he just kind of poodled around on his first turn, and then on my first turn, my Riptide Wing did some work on what he had on the board, and my Dreadnought dropped down and wiped all his marker lights in one flamer shot. Heavy flamer, boom, all gone. And then the rest of the game, the Riptide met death at the hands of heavy bolters, actually. And my Riptide Wing just kind of took apart some stuff. It was actually a close game because there was this bridge in the middle of the middle of the mat, and it was a very difficult piece of terrain to move around with tanks. So actually, I was kind of hampered by the terrain a little bit. So I ended up winning that game, but not as much as we both thought it was going to be. Again, the silly 8 victory point deficit made a big difference again, because I always lose all my tanks, right? Like, so I only ended up winning like 12-9 or something because, I had to come back from that hole. But
that's a big win, right? Because you only need 11 points per player to win a round.
Yeah, so I won that round. I think we won that round, so we were 1-1 as a team. Yeah.
Wicked.
Oh yeah. So the other highlight was Ron was playing a Ynnari player. Ron was playing Skyhammer, Librarius, and Iron Hands, and the Ynnari guy decided to null deploy, forgetting that this is Skyhammer. So Skyhammer came down, wipes out like 4 models, game over. I looked over at Ron. I'm like, Ron, you lost already? He's like, no, man, I just won in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's scary. Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. So, Kev, who'd you guys play around?
We played the Eternal Warriors from Barry.
Oh yeah, missing Scurry though. He bailed.
Yeah, Scurry bailed if he's watching. They said they were in a rush. So I ended up matching against the Tau guy, which I felt pretty strong. I honestly thought I could take any Tau list with my Ynnari. But for some reason, he made like 16 feel no pains on his 2 Storm Surge unit. So I get one down to 2 wounds, and then he changes spots. And like, I couldn't kill them. 16 feel no pains or something like that. And it just like, he kept bike unit gone, bike unit gone, bike unit gone. So I killed everything but the Storm Surges. So I did lose that game. I got 7 or 8 points still, so not a horrible loss.
That's respectable, yeah.
Yeah, and then my other 3 teammates got 0-20 that game for some reason. I don't know, I guess bad matchups or something, but yeah. So we lost that one.
The Barry team's
really
a good
that
team.
Bad
they're a good team. Like Fred, the player you played, is a really good player. He usually wins a lot of the Barry bashes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I killed everything but those Storm Surges. Just couldn't kill him. I did 8 wounds total to them or something, which, yeah. Hey, but it was a great game. Went right down to the wire, and we didn't know who won until we tallied up points, which was nice.
Awesome. So I guess our round 2 is we played the Sons of Red Shirt, which is Nate, Riley, what's his name, Greg, and Ricky. So this team, although their lists, I would say, were suboptimal. Not like, they're all really good players that maybe don't play super competitive anymore. So their lists maybe reflected that they were just a little bit out of date. But it was a scary matchup for us because, of course, like Ricky, Nate, Riley, and Greg, they all can win games, right? And big if you screw up, right? So we had doing the matches. I got the Ynnari. I got Greg. And I was like, I need to get like 10 points here, which should be okay. Like, he's going to get basically Maelstrom. I'm going to maybe get kill points or should get kill points. And then the end of the objectives should be a tie, Screamer Star on 1, whatever. Then I got super fortunate, and some D went my way. And I ended up pulling off a 16-4 win, which was pretty awesome. And our team won really big. I know Riley's Tau, I guess, well, as we said, Max's anti-Tau list of Riptides and Knights just went through him, 20-0, and that put us over the edge. So it was a big win, which was kind of scary because I put like Sons of Red Shirts. I'm sure they beat the crap out of a few teams, so that was a really good win. So round 3, Logan, you want to go?
Yeah. So round 3, we just came off a fresh loss from Team America, so we said, "Hey, excellent! We're gonna have an easy match." And then we drew Team CanHammer, which was
so you had an easy match.
Our hardest matchup on paper, actually.
Was it?
I think short of loaded dice. You guys were second hardest matchup for us. And this came down to another matching snafu due to the changes, but we sort of figured it out after some deliberation. I was salty. I apologize about that, but I do think the salt was warranted. So I ended up playing...
I didn't pay attention. You were salty as fuck. I was like, I'm too sick.
Yep,
I literally don't think I can play my next game, and I just went over and stood next to Yoshi and waited.
Good choice. So I ended up playing against Kieran, running Ynnari, and I got curb stomped. There's no other way to put it. I lost 20-0 in 4 turns. I got tabled. He is a very strong...
That?
What's that?
So when you did your matches, did you expect that from that matchup?
No, none of our matchups for that team actually lined up because of the changes that had to get made. So
You expected that was a bad matchup.
that was exactly the match we were trying to avoid, and would have been able to otherwise. But anyway, it didn't work out. So that round did not go well for me. With that said, the rest of them were some major upsets. If I remember correctly, Diogo did beat you, Chris.
20-0. 20-0 me.
Clarence won his game just slightly, and Skylar won his game, I think, pretty... Skylar's game was against Max, and he had a single Cataphrone Destroyer and a unit of Sisters of Silence on the table against a Riptide. And his Cataphrone Destroyer, singular, killed a Riptide in close combat and won the game by tabling Max.
And that's the sad part, is he still would have won the game.
Yep.
But we would have tied the round because of my upset.
Yeah.
But we would have, if Max's guy would have won that combat, we would have tied the round against you guys. We lost the round. So actually, from our perspective, the reason things got heated is that there's a mix-up in the matchups, whatever. But we got all of our perfect matches.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we were like,
great for you guys.
we had the perfect matches. It's just that the Skylar Max fight, of course. He got tabled by one model. It's a fluke.
Yeah.
And then the Yoshi-Me fight, I feel, was also kind of a fluke. And my army fell apart in one turn. I was actually, really doing well. And then I needed to kill one Wraith Knight with 3 wounds, or else my Screamer Star was screwed because he did the Power from Death thing, which...
And here was the clarification. Clarence lost his game, but he got 4 points, which was the 1 point that made it a win instead of a draw for our two teams. That put us to 44 points instead of 43.
Oh, it was tight. Like if I wouldn't have got a 0 and Max wouldn't have got zeros.
It would have made a huge difference.
It was such a tight game. And so one of the big things that happened in Yoshi's game is I was super sick, and blaming the sickness all I can do. It's got Kairos basically miscast. I had to take a leadership check or take a wound. I rolled a 10. I said, he's fine. And Yoshi said, he's not fine. He's only leadership 9. And I went, okay, I'll look it up. And I looked it up. He's leadership 9. He hits the ground because I failed my grounding test, takes a wound, gets killed. And then I remember that Zinch gets +3 leadership. Because I've always, whenever Kairos miscast, I've always made leadership 10. And nobody's ever questioned me on it. So I've never had to actually justify it. I just knew he was 10. And so it was my fault completely, and I lost Kairos. And once you lose Kairos, then the Screamer Star has less odds to get the Grimoire off, and you have less dice, and he should have been alive, and with Magnus, and yada, 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 it ended up getting me zeroed.
The tale of demons. One thing and the rest crumbles.
Yeah.
Well, you make one mistake, and you're done. It's it's so unforgiving, but it's so refreshing at the same time. When you go from playing Eldar to that. Okay, so give it to you,
You want
Darren.
to die now. You want to die if you're Eldar now.
Round 3.
Did we play you guys, Kevin, in round 3, or was that second day?
That'd be first. That's round 4.
Okay, so round 3 we were playing Bloodbath and Beyond, like the best name
Best
of
name.
the
Best name.
tournament.
Excellent name.
And I was playing a guy, Mike, who was playing, so I got mashed up against Tau again. Not like I've played enough Tau in my Warhammer career, but and he was running 3 Riptide, Storm Surge, Buffmander Bomb, Sky Rays, and a Void Shield generator, which kind of puts a crimp into my plans. So I was a little bit cheeky with this game. He castled in the corner. I deployed right up on the line. It was Vanguard Strike, and I was going for the C's. So I had a 5+ C's, and I just felt that I was going to roll a 5. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the third game of the day. I was delusional. But I was like, okay, I'm going to seize on this guy. So I set up to seize. And anyway, in Vanguard Strike, I can't set up my army outside of the Magic 42-inch because there's not enough space. So anyway, so I seized. I rolled my 5 and I seized. And I had Riptide take down the Void Shield in one round.
That's lucky.
And then
one Riptide?
Yeah, one Riptide.
That's nuts.
And then, so the story of the game was every turn I took down the Void Shield from 3 to 0. First turn it was a Riptide. The second time it was a Grav. One grab cannon took the void shield down because he regenerated all his shields in the second turn. Then the third turn he regenerated his shields again, and another solo grab cannon took down the shields on the first round of shooting. So I was I was kind of lucky on all those turns because otherwise I'm screwed. Like, what the hell am I gonna do, right? So this game was punctuated by him first turn D'ing out one of my Riptides with the Storm Surge. And then in the second term, I was like, okay, fuck it. These guys are going to die unless I'm going to use my Hailfire before I die. So in the second turn, they Hailfired. And one, after the Grav Cannon took down the Void Shield, one Riptide, first round of Rending Heavy Burst Cannon, took out one Riptide from full wounds to 0. I rolled 7 Rends. And he failed all his saves.
Nice.
So one full wound Riptide dead. Then the second round of his Hailfire shooting, the second Riptide on 4 wounds. Again, 6 or 7 Rends dead. So one Riptide killed 2 of his Riptides. And then, unfortunately, I couldn't kill the last Riptide, and I did nothing to the Storm Surge. And then they just died, and basically the game went to 7. And if you've ever played Battle Company, it just gets weaker and weaker as time goes on. And eventually, I didn't get quite tabled, but I had nothing left, and he was just racking up the Maelstrom. So we ended up winning 20-0 just on Maelstrom and then that sort of 8 VP buffer. So, so I lost that one 20-0. But it was fun.
That's all that matters.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I think we lost that round, so we were 1 and 2 at the end of the first day.
Sounds good. Kev, who'd you play?
We played Forbes First Legion with that sweet banner they were carrying around. That's pretty dope.
I think it was awesome.
I think that was for all the Forbes teams, though.
No,
wasn't
it said Forbes First Legion on it.
Ooh, that's
Yeah, no, because the
And then
second
I
guy
asked
said we're not good enough for a banner. That's what he told me.
Yeah, I asked him. I said, "Where's the second? Do y'all banners?" He said, "No, just the First Legion because we're the most important."
Yeah.
Ooh.
But anyways,
Some Forbes Civil War shit going on.
So the parents are going down, and Sergey, the guy who had joined our team because we had a dropout, knew the ETC format like the back of his hand. So he was telling everybody how the pairings worked. So he, with all of our 3 teams we played, he argued with them about how the pairing system worked, and he showed them how it worked. But in the end, there was the one team I didn't want to play, which was the Demon team with 2. They had a Fleshhound Death Star and a Screamer Death Star all mixed up in the same list. And then it just works out. We both held the Eldar, and they held the Demons back of their hands, so we had no choice but to play each other. So
so he was arguing it's hand to hand, right?
Yeah, it is hand to hand.
Yeah.
All right. Well, at least that's the way we played. So
that's how we played. That's how it's read in the pack. Yeah.
So we held the Elder back because we figured they'd put the Demons first, or Demons as a matchup for something else. But then they held the Demons back too. So I got stuck playing the Demons. When he failed his Grimoire once, and he didn't even have a reroll, so that didn't help. But 3+ rerollable with 4+ feel no pain, and then of course the uncalmed 2+ involved. I killed
it's gross.
the first 3 rounds of the game. I mean, I took out the Knight he had with him, and I took out a couple of the straggling units that were just around. But out of the Death Stars, I shot I had 20. At least I think I had 24 Wind Rider jet bikes, and then a bunch of Reva jet bikes and other shooting with Race Knights. I killed in the first 3 rounds. I killed from those Death Star 1.5 models.
Yep, sounds about right.
So at the end, because I had more units than him, and he finally failed the Grimoire, I was able to take apart almost the whole Screamer unit and about half of the Fleshhound unit by the end. But it was a little too late because he got me on kill points, of course. Because welcome to Eldar Yanari.
Yep.
So I think that game ended another I got 7 or 8 points again. And then I can't quite remember if we
It's
won
not
or
bad
lost.
versus Demons with
Yeah, it's not bad
Yanari.
at all.
It's not a bad match. That's not a bad result.
Yeah, I can't remember if we won or lost that round. I want to say we lost because we would have got if we won we would have had 48 total points. Yeah, so we lost that round. But it was a close one for me, and all 3 games were phenomenal games, phenomenal opponents. I mean, I was a bit salty after Storm Surge was making 16 feel no pains, but. Hey man, I had a great. First day was great, and same thing with the team. Team loved it. Bit tired, but it was still good. And we got to go to the Mandarin, which is pretty dope.
Yeah, I should have went to the Banner with you guys. We went to Boston Pizza. BP, bro. So next day 2, start in the morning. I guess we have a grudge match here that you two played each other, Darren and.
Yeah, we
your teams
matched up
played.
with Basement Collective. Yeah, and once again, I'm pretty sure that we had no idea how the pairing system was supposed to work. So
Yeah, Sergey had to argue
Which
it
is
out
funny
again.
because you had an actual ETC player on your team that went to the ETC last year, so you guys should have known.
I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. I was just told him I
Half
play
his team
whoever.
was like 10 minutes late.
Yeah, so
Aw.
Jamie showed up late, and anyway.
We were hoping for that free win. No, I'm just kidding. It was good though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I ended up playing Sergey, who had the baronial court, 2 flying tyrants, the sisters in a bastion, and I got really lucky on my first turn. I killed 1 knight, dropped Melta and Grav, and Riptide basically took out his warlord on turn 1.
That's lucky. That's good.
And then second turn, I got his second knight down to 1 hull point, and on 1 hull point, it remained for like the rest of the game until like the last turn. So annoying! I couldn't kill this knight. I had Overwatch, supporting fire, everything was going on to this knight. I could not kill it, and I basically don't have a lot to deal with knights other than the drop Melta and the Riptides and the Grav. Grav wasn't that effective because I still need 6s to plink anything. So eventually the knights just kind of caught up to me. The Flyrants didn't actually do much, and my bolters had nothing else to shoot at, so I was just shooting every single bolter at the Flyrants and heavy bolter, all the bolters, heavy bolter, everything that was the bolter was just shooting the Flyrants because they couldn't hurt the knights anyway. And he took his sisters out of the bunker to attack a squad, and kind of full ballistic skill Overwatch took them out. But in the end, I couldn't deal with the knights, and he ended up. And the other thing he did was he put a lot of his the objectives were weighted to one side. Mm-hmm. And it was hammer and anvil, and he won that role. So he put the bastion on 2 objectives basically, and then his knights take up a lot of space and can jump around objectives very easily. They're all on one side of the board, so that went in his favor. The game might have been very different if I had won that role and deployed on that side. He would have had to come to me. Who knows? In the end, it's hard for me to deal with so many knights. So I didn't want to play any 5 knight lists. That'd be well, I'm kind of screwed. Even the Riptides, they need to roll 6s to do anything to knights. So yeah, he won that game. I think it was 12-8 or something like that. And then I had the 8 victory point hole, of course, to climb out of. So
yeah. So Darren, did you have the 5 knight list on your team?
Yes, we did.
All right. So we sacrificed 1,000 Sun player to the 5 knight list.
Yeah.
So I think Eric, the 1,000 Sun player, did a total of 3 hull points to 1 knight and got tabled.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
We sacrificed him 4 out of 5 games.
He's gonna know this, and he's gonna key your car and just shiv
It's
you.
not. I don't own a car. It's my brother's car. So let it be. No, Eric could literally not do a wound and still have fun. He's just that type of guy that loves
I know,
playing.
I'm just teasing him. I know Eric.
I played. What was his name, Darren? Who did I play? He was
What list? Demons?
No, Marines.
Oh,
with
Ron. Yeah,
Skyhammer.
he played Ron.
Yeah. It unfortunately didn't go well for him. It was a bad matchup for him. He managed. He had 2 drop.
Skyhammer is dropping into death, basically.
Yeah. Skyhammer killed 1 Wraith Knight, the one without an invul save, the 2 D-cannon one, and then took 1 Wraith Knight down to 1 wound. And then
That's pretty good.
I just went forward and killed everything else from there, unfortunately. I mean, I was able to get through that Death Star because there wasn't 2+ rerollable craziness. So yeah, I did win 20-0 that game. But I mean, he was a good sport, even though I knew he wasn't having a fun time, which is why I'm kind of thinking of putting the Eldar away. It does good, but I just, when the opponent's not having fun and you're playing a game, maybe you should. At least me, I'm rethinking. I'm probably going to be bringing out the Battle Company next.
Feel the same way about Eldar. Yeah. Logan, who was your round 4?
Round 4, we played against Greater Windsor Table Warriors. And I actually ended up playing against Ryan, who's the same guy Darren played against, I think, round 1, you were saying? And he was very gun-shy playing against me as a result of how well your Riptides did. So he played extremely cautiously. He basically null deployed.
You owe me that one, man. You owe me that one.
Yeah, so wait till you find out what happens. So he basically null deployed, which gave me an interesting opportunity to put my Calexis right up front and center. So he'd either have the option to shoot D batteries and basically hit himself after I moved up on turn 1, or what ended up happening was I shot all of my Sky Rays into his Wraith Knight, hoping to do some damage against it, because he just had the one Wraith Knight with the double D cannons. And out of 12 missiles, I did 1 wound, which was unfortunate. So he moves his Wraith Knight up, and instead of moving in range to shoot, he ended up charging my Assassin, which, okay, cool. It instant deaths, he's got stomps. Sat there for 3 turns and did nothing, which worked out great for me.
It's amazing.
But what ended up happening when he brought his bikes in, he was, as I said, he was really gun shy. So he tried to keep everything really far away, instead of taking advantage of sort of the overwhelming numbers he had to just shoot me, right? If I intercept her, it's weaker than the next round of shooting I'm going to have, because I have no marker light support. I don't get the bonus for my formation for anything. So if he had just gone sort of balls deep there, he would have probably won on turn 2. But kept all his stuff back, let me pick off a couple things, and then the exact opposite of what happened to you happened to me. He unloaded with a bunch of jet bikes into Riptides, and I just failed saves left and right and lost 2 full Riptides in 1 turn against, I think, 6 units of bikes, which is more than...
Were you using OG 1+ dice?
Yes, I was. That was the problem. I was using the 1+ armor dice. Yeah. But no, the saves did not go my way. And that also, the following turn, one of my Riptide, the one remaining Riptide, did 3 wounds to itself with Gets Hot, which was like, it shouldn't happen. So it was really, really rough. He played pretty well. Other than that, I just think he could have been way more aggressive and actually maximized his win, but I think it ended up being like a 13-7 win for him at the end. But overall, we won the round, which was good, and that put us into actually a very, very strong position going into round 5.
So for us, we got the Eternal Warriors, which is Barry. We matched up pretty good. Everybody got good matchups. Bark on Battle Company, which is a great matchup, and so on. I got Fred Tau, which is probably the worst matchup for me. Tau, I don't know, like, I either win big or I lose big, I find, against Tau with Demons. There's no real middle ground. It's
Storm
either...
Surge unit, though.
Yeah, he had the unit Storm Surges, which meant that I couldn't go within 22 inches of his army for fear of me dropping from the sky and being charged, and it also kept my Screamer Star back. So what I did is I took my Screamer Star, bumped it up the middle, Cursed Earth, Kairos and Magnus around it, D-beamed, D-shot, tried to kill the Storm Surges, because once they're gone, I can literally drop and just go in combat, aggressive as hell. I did 2 wounds or 4 wounds to the Storm Surges, nothing. So I turbo boosted the Screamer Star while I was kind of back, and then the next turn I did it again, didn't do any wounds. So I put the Screamer Star in a back corner to get an objective. Kairos ended up taking 3 wounds, even though he had a 2+ rerolling 1s. He flew off the board and hid like a little girl in the back corner. And then Magnus just kept flying around trying to kill Storm Surges because I had the Maelstrom card, where I got 2 points if I killed a Lord of War.
Yes.
And I was like, and I had that turn 1, and I was like, turn 1, I'm going to 3 D shots on the Storm Surges. Then I'm going to it was turn 2, sorry, because turn 1 he's too far away. I was like, turn 2, I'm going to D shot. I need those Storm Surges for the Maelstrom and all these bonuses, and so I can get in there. And I just couldn't kill them the whole game.
That's the same card I had against Sergey. I had to kill a Lord of War card for the whole game, and I couldn't kill that knight with the one hull point left on it the whole game.
I eventually got it, but that's like 2 turns where I couldn't get Maelstrom, or that 1 extra Maelstrom card, which was unfortunate. And then I just kind of flew around, took the damage, got all the objectives, and then once it was down to 1 Storm Surge, it was like turn 6, I think it was. I cast Force, drop Magnus down. He's wounded. I'm like, I should be able to kill you. If not, worst case scenario, you get Warlord. So it's not a big deal. And I ended up 19-1ing Fred, which I thought was a major accomplishment because he does quite well with his Tau. So,
nice.
And I was bad matchup and scared going into that game. So last round, and then we'll be done. Turn 5. Darren, who'd your team play?
We played Forbes' Second Legion, Sans Banner. So this was a great. This was my second funnest game because it was just like I played Hanif, the Neefinator, and we were just having a good time. Like, we didn't really care like who won or whatever. He thought he was gonna lose, and I thought he was gonna lose, but like it didn't matter. So he was playing an interesting list. He was playing a Deathwing Knights star.
Oh yes.
So
What?
Deathwing Knights with Samael, Ezekiel, and 2 librarians in a conclave, and he had a Grey Knights detachment, so the Grey Knight librarian was in there too. And so he deployed this, and I deployed on the opposite side of the pitch because those guys only move in 6, right? And then I basically just kind of waited there with my Riptide Wing. Eventually, I ended up just wiping that star in 1 round of Hailfire. And then this is the only game I've ever played with my Lion's Blade where I've lost only 1 transport. So
Wow.
that's it. All my tanks were alive at the end of the game, which is unheard of. Like when I looked at my board, I hadn't deployed like any of the models yet. I was like, oh.
That must be a nice treat. It's like, I don't have to play with these.
Yeah, so I ended up tabling him after he didn't, because there's a lot of points in the Deathwing star.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of points and not very effective points. And then the Dread Knights just die very easily to grab. The funny thing is he had his Dread Knight in the middle of all my Riptides, and he ended up charging it into my command squad with my Company Master in it, which is just a normal Company Master. I have no upgrades, but I have a Rosarius. And so he kills the rest of the command squad, but couldn't kill my Company Master. And then but then he wanted to stay stuck in, because otherwise my Riptides were going to tear it apart. And the Grav, I had like 4 Grav cannons like lined up around his Dread Knight ready to go. And then so he stayed stuck in, because of course I'm freaking stubborn and fear. So I stuck in, and then he literally stayed stuck in for 3 rounds of combat. Couldn't kill my Company Master, so eventually it became disadvantageous for him to stay there. But my guy was rocking Rosarius saves like nobody's business, and I just got a power sword like strength 4, so I'm like I need 6s to hit the guy. So, and then on the final turn he gets released, and then it's my turn, and then I just cream his Dread Knight. So that was unfortunate, but Company Master for the win. So that was a super fun game. I can't even I tabled him, but it was still 4 or 5 turns to table him, so still went the distance.
Solid
But I just kind of parked my rhinos and waited for his Deathwings to kind of walk over. And
so that was 3 wins for your team and 2 losses.
It was no, 2 wins, 3 losses.
2 wins, 3 losses. So Kevin, how'd your last round go?
It was good. We played. It was our favorite round, the fighting cephalopods.
Nice.
Oh, dirty.
So we had a great time. It was the quickest round in all of the tournament, though. Eric, our Thousand Sun expert, got tabled, and then the other 3 games ended in a tabling for us, and it was over within an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh wow.
Did he play
Four
Will
games.
Paul by any chance? Did Eric play Will Paul?
What army did Will Paul play?
Will Paul's the guy that caught the jelly bean.
Oh, no. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. I played the Nurgle Demon Space Wolves.
Okay, you played
Will's
and
army.
you-
Will's army. So
You got tabled?
it was a good army. The first turn charging Thunderbolt squad, he didn't get any of the psychic powers he needed. And then I bubble wrapped my Wraith Knights with the Reaver jet bike, so he killed 2 units Reaver jet bikes, and then I killed the whole unit with my shooting in the next phase. And
We'll
it
do
went
that.
over. So it was my third 20-0, and then we won that round, winning 3-2 and placing pretty high because the rounds we won were a lot of points for us.
Nice.
So but we're not going over placings yet.
No, but you did what, 3 and 2? You said
We did 3-2, yeah.
that's pretty good. Logan.
So last round, as I said, we were in really good position. We were actually playing against loaded dice, and depending on how this round would have gone, we actually had the potential to get first place overall in the event. So we got our pairings, and the pairings actually, we sat down, we did sort of a back to Jesus after the issues earlier, and redid our pairings, and got basically exactly the matches we wanted. So I was playing against Mike Strang with his Yunari, Clarence was playing as Renault's Barkstar, Tristan and Skylar were playing, which was sort of iffy. and then Diogo and Dan were playing, and the matchups were all incredibly close. My game against Mike went basically started out. He's running double Wraith Knight, 30 Warp Spiders, 2 Farseers, and a bunch of Jet Bikes, and he does basically sets up center of the board. So I bunker off in a corner. Basically put myself so that if his Warp Spiders come in, there is one spot they can come in. I can intercept her, and no matter where he jumps, I've got an opportunity to deal with them. So he sets up for that, and I roll the Warlord trait to seize on a 5+.
Ooh.
And I seize. And I kill one of his Wraith Knights turn 1. I kill the other turn 2. And there was one fatal flaw in Mike's list, is that he did not have an Autarch with 30 Spiders, which I think was a huge mistake. If he had it, he would have absolutely destroyed me. But instead, he only had 3 Warp Spider units come in turn 2, 2 on turn 3, and then the last one came in turn 4, which let me sort of pick stuff off piecemeal. Just with SMS, he just didn't have the critical mass he needed. Now, that said, he did play it very, very well. He hit his stuff. He racked up Maelstrom like crazy. And I did have to stay sort of cornered because I knew all this stuff was still coming in, and it can move incredibly quickly, of course, especially with the Inari stuff, the Strength from Death. So I start moving out on turn 5, and he still's got a good amount of stuff. I managed to kill almost all of it. Turn 6 comes around, and I'm in position to win huge, like 20-0 win, if the game goes on to a turn 7. And so I'm positioned out. He's got, I want to say it was 1 Warp Spider, 3 Jet Bikes, and the 2 Farseers left on the table. And he turbo boosts his Jet Bikes out, turbo boosts the Farseer over, runs the Spider, jumps it, and wins 13-7. Because we did, all because of a single die roll at the end of the game, which was rough. But it was a super intense game. Mike was a lot of fun to play against. So for the rest of the games, Dan was playing against Diogo, and it looked like that game was actually going to go heavily in our favor. And sort of the opposite of my game against Mike, their game did go on, and that swung it for that match, which resulted in a slight win for Dan. Then Clarence and Renault was 11-9 win for Clarence, and Skylar Tristan was, I think, almost a perfect tie. So the round ended with loaded dice, I want to say getting 46 points or something. Like, it was literally 3 or 4 points off of a tie in the running for first for this. So it was super tight. It was really intense games. But Loaded Dice did take the win over us.
Ooh. And then so I guess goes on to us. We got, of course, Team America, because that was I think we were, at this point, we were in, I want to say, third.
Yeah, it was the only team you could have played. Just like Loaded Dice was the only team we could have played for the parents.
Yeah. We were actually the lead by total battle points, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
And then we were actually in the lead for like almost the whole tournament, which is just wild. But because we had, so we played basically. We got our matches. I got the War Convocation, which I thought was going to be an okay match. Should be able to get a 10 out of. But I basically what happened is I was doing really good. I got the Sisters of Silence. They were in a call unit, which is going to ruin my army if I don't get them. So I had to summon 2 chariots to get all the sisters. I failed to summon one of the chariots, but I had Cursed Earth Bubble. So one comes in, kills 3. I'm like, okay. Because the way he had call, I couldn't get them all. So then I had to use in my next turn, I basically had to use my Screamer Star to fly over them to kill the sisters that were hiding behind call, because he put them behind impassable terrain. I went up, and this is a big deal. I had to get rid of these girls. So I got rid of them. Done. It's all good. And then what happened is I had to kill a bunker. So if I would have killed a bunker, I could have got 2 Maelstrom cards and a bunch of points. I put 3 D shots in the bunker, and I didn't kill it. I was like, shoot. So then I panicked. He was getting ahead on Maelstrom. Things weren't going so hot, and I kind of panicked, and I got super aggressive, and I lost Magnus. But I'm still doing okay. I got my Screamer Star. They don't have Cursed Earth, but the sisters are gone, so I can get Cursed Earth next turn. I should be able to do some damage. I'm going on this impassable piece of terrain. I roll a 1 for dangerous terrain. Hurts my Grimoire Herald, because he only has a 5-up invulnerable. I thought he had with Cursed him as a 4-up, so he has a 5-up. Takes a wound from, and then Koska's Knight shoots a Barrage template and kills my Herald.
I remember hearing
Barrage
about that.
template on his Knight.
That's rough.
Ouch. Ouch.
And then I basically teleported into the corner, and I was trying to play for 2 or 3 points, but with the outflanking, and I just ended up getting 0 points.
Yeah, Cousins
But
is
luckily,
a really strong player.
he's a really strong player. And I told him, I said, I fucked up there, and I was like running on empty to this game. I'm going to blame the sickness all I can, because I can.
Milk it.
But I was having a really hard time playing him too, and I just panicked. Things didn't go my way. I panicked. I went super aggressive. It didn't pay off, and I lost my Magnus, which was my fault 100%. But then Max gets a 20-0 against their Yunari player. Kieran pulls out like 5 points against Josh Death, and Jason 20-0s, and we beat Team America.
Nice.
So they were tied with loaded dice for first, but now bang, we beat them. So that puts us in the running. So we really cared how your game went, because if your game would have went to tie, we actually had more battle points than anyone else by a pretty substantial margin. It would have went down to soft scores, which wouldn't have changed the game. But if actually Logan, if your team would have beat loaded dice, it would have actually given us the win.
Oh yeah. Oh, so we would have gotten second. That's
you would have gotten
crazy.
second.
That's
we would have got first. So I guess we can go on to the results. You want to start with last place?
So last place went. Actually, I got to double check this. I can't even remember who got last place. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah.
Last place.
Darren beat them to last place.
Last place went to Forbes' 2nd Legion.
Yeah.
So
Darren's fault.
Thanks for coming out, guys. I hope you had a good time.
They did. They're great guys.
And then for the rest of the results here, so let's go from worst to best for results. So I guess in order of the way the prizes went out.
Well, no, let's do in this conversation first. So who was the lowest out of the 4 of us?
I think
Just 'cause we're dicks.
Yeah, it was Darren.
Oh, Darren, what place was you guys get?
I don't know, near the bottom.
Where are you guys? You guys are Team Fear Check. You got 17th out of 20.
It's not bad.
18th out of 20.
It's not bad. How did Kevin's Basement Collective do? They did pretty good.
We got 7th out of 20.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good considering we had a 1,000 Sun player on our team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this
Well,
is
that's the thing about this event, right? Is if you have one player that's not like tuned, you basically are taken out of the running because you have to play it down.
We went in knowing we wouldn't win. We still tried to play to the best of our ability, and no doubt the Eldar helped with that. It's not really my good playing, but the Eldar itself.
A little bit of your good playing and a little bit of Eldar. I'll give you that.
But yeah, so we finished 7th. We were happy with that. We wanted to finish in the top 10, and we did.
That's really good.
Mhm.
Okay, now you can do the rest of the awards.
All right. Yeah, so we're working up. We had best sports went to the Fighting Cephalopods, which I
Well,
don't
They
think
were so fun to play against.
I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. They are a bunch of really fun guys. Best painted, losing out on this by I think it was 0.13 points or a single favorite opponent vote was Team CanHammer. So we picked up best painted.
A single opponent vote was 1 vote. Was 1 point.
1 point.
Anyway, it was 2 points.
It was
and
You
divided
guys
by-
got
it
best
was
painted.
less than 1 point. So we ended up getting best
Oh, it
painted.
was less than.
Yeah, Greater Winds and
You're-
Warriors actually were better painted than you, according. Nope, I'm reading it wrong.
Yeah.
No,
so,
Greater Winds and Warriors were better
So
painted.
they,
So
they
how
also
painting
placed
worked?
higher than us, which is
Just
why.
so people that would like to know how painting worked is it was an average of your team scores. So you can't look at, and it was somewhat checkbox-ish.
Yeah.
So if like one of your guys had like a half unpainted army, then he significantly brought down your team painting score by like.
Yeah, that's what really hurt us. We had 15.88 on the painting score. So, but yeah,
Which is still pretty good. You're only actually off by like 4.2 points out of a possible 100. That's still really high.
but Logan,
what was
your
our
guys'
painting
army
score?
did look amazing.
What's that? Sorry.
You guys'
What-
army did look amazing. Your team's army did look
Thank you
good.
very much. They all inadvertently matched with red and white.
What was our paint score, just out of interest?
Team Fear Check. Let me just maximize this here.
1675.
1675 out of 20.
That's pretty good. Like that's 3%, 3 point something% off. Perfect.
Yeah, it's really good. 'Cause that's team aggregates. So it's really good. Let's see,
That
our
includes
team
that
had
if you had somebody that wasn't done.
19.13, which was one of the highest. There's only one team that was ahead of that.
Well, you guys had Skylar, Diogo, yourself. Like you guys had
Yeah.
a nice looking
We
team.
had pretty nice looking armies.
I screwed my team over with. Well, I supplied almost all the display boards anyway, but I screwed my team over in that I didn't actually get my demons finished.
No,
So
I saw
lost
your army.
all the technical points.
Rough.
Which
So anyway,
makes sense. I had too much to do. It was either the event happened or my army got painted.
that's
And
fair.
you were sick.
That's fair.
And you were
And
sick.
you were sick.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. He was sick as well. Everybody, he was sick.
So moving on from
Syphilis.
there, third place went to Greater Windsor Table Warriors. So well done to them. I don't think many people saw that coming, but based on our round against them, it was pretty well
I did. They
deserved. They are
stopped us.
decent players. Absolutely good players. Second place overall went to Team CanHammer, thanks to their stunning defeat of Team America. And then, to absolutely no one's surprise, first place, Loaded Dice from London, Ontario.
Why do you think they won?
They won because they had an exceptionally strong team with very good lists. Yeah, they're just, it's for really good players.
If I wouldn't have lost 20-0 to Diogo, that would have been ours. It was actually me that cost us our team, because we still would have played the same opponents had we tied CanHammer.
But he was sick.
But against Diogo, I actually that leadership 10 on Kairos was crucial.
Yeah.
I should have known. I should have just said no, he's 10 because +3. So I went,
That
oh,
dice
look
was
it up.
sick.
Hey, you didn't spend a coma.
Dun.
Cool. So that's it for Canada team. You guys can give your final feedback. Kevin, what was your final feedback on the event?
2 thumbs up.
That's it.
Good.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, no, it was great. I had a fun time. I'll be honest, the level of play was a bit exceeding what I normally like playing, but I'm trying to get into competitive events more, and because I want to go to Adepticon and all this jazz. But I had a really great time. I didn't see anybody having a bad time. Most of the armies are beautifully painted.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just a great time and meeting new people, and yeah, had a great time.
Yeah, I was surprised at the level of hobby in that room. One would not expect everybody's army to look so awesome.
That's a Canada thing at high end events. Pretty much all of the players up here have very, very nicely painted armies if they're serious about
Not
competing.
me.
So
Except for
my
this
battle
guy.
report,
I had the worst time there, I think.
my video report comes out tomorrow morning on the channel, and I spent the morning of the second day when nobody was there filming all the armies because everybody left their models out in the open, and I was just blown away by the quality of painting.
In
Other than
large
Chris's
events in
army.
the U.S., nobody has painted armies.
It's nowhere near to the level of here. The Adepticon is not quite as bad for it. It's sort of an like, I don't want to go on a tangent for too long, but the very high level of play in terms of like battle score focus is usually not very well painted except for a handful of players. The concept of best overall went away a long time ago in the US after GW stopped doing it. Moved more towards
a lot of it,
the
I think, was
Ardboys
with the
approach.
qualifying. When they started doing, if they did, let's say, Adepticon top 16 was top 16 overall, played the second day, then you would see a shift, I think, in armies.
Yeah, because some of the events that placed high in the LVO just looked like not good at all.
Yeah, that's 100%
So
true.
ITC is doing hobby rankings. You heard that today on the podcast?
It is in the works. Yes.
Well, that's not going
Anyway,
to fix the
completely
game
separate,
rankings.
though.
That's the thing.
No,
Is like,
it's
if
separate.
ITC wants people to have painted armies, then they go in the BCP app. There's a 10-point painting score at every one of our events, and that's it.
That's basically exactly what's happening. Yeah,
I was super impressed with the level of hobby.
Yeah.
Well, because in Canada, we actually didn't have a Best General award, and we did that on purpose. This is the ETC is purely generalship, and when John and I sit down and write the pack for this, we literally say there's no general. It's first, second, third overall, because the way I see it is you have 4 guys in your team, or 4 people, you can get an average paint score of 18, and that's not going to, like, honestly, the way the etiquette and the paint went, it actually didn't matter. Unless you did, like, really bad, it still came down to who won all their games, right? It actually didn't matter, really, if you think about it. Bad Dice got the highest battle. We got the second highest. Windsor got the third highest. You guys got the fourth
No,
highest.
Windsor got 36.
What did CanHammer get?
36.
So they tied.
Sorry, it was 54, 48, 36, 36, and then 42. So America and Cash Money Hammer could have placed higher with better paint and or sportsmanship scores.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
but
Cash
here's what I'm
Money
saying.
Hammer got knocked
Cash
on paint.
Money.
That's hilarious.
What?
No,
Was
they
it
got
paint?
knocked down in sports, not
Oh,
paint.
sport. Okay.
How much on
okay.
sports? It's only a few points, though, right?
5.5 points.
Yeah. So actually, something important to clarify, just so nobody thinks we're trash talking these guys. The sportsmanship was not purely like, are you a good sport? There was a bunch of other stuff that was
No,
like.
it was
fluff
actually
for the
etiquette. It
event.
was not sports. We
Yeah.
should be calling it etiquette points. So one thing in the past that we ran into is I'm a TO for this event, and I have to mark 80 lists that need to be in the correct format. Well, if 15 people send in the list in the wrong format, and then I have to sit there for 3 days and put them in the right format, that's not really, like, you could be the nicest guy in the world, but that's not really sporting, right? So we gave a lot of awards for people that just did what they were supposed to do on time.
Yeah.
Like,
So
there was some
there's just stuff
exceptions,
like
like Team America's lists. I know some people, they were out of format, but they were a last-minute sign-up, so we actually exempted them from the list penalty because they signed up 2 weeks out, right? So
And they fixed their stuff pretty quickly as well, which was great.
pretty quickly, yeah.
But, yeah.
So
So
that just makes sense. So a lot of it was like, if you gave out jelly beans, if you wore team shirts, you could get max etiquette points. Team chance, if you beat an ETC player, there was lots of ways to do it, and it was capped at 40. And I think some teams got up in the 50s, right? So
45 was the cap with votes. But
yes, but votes were the only way to get above 40. But you could have got to like 50 on the regular, and it would have capped at 40.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you actually
yeah,
could have,
for sure.
we designed it so that if you, let's say, made a mistake on your list and you lost those 2 points, that you could actually get that back with a little bit extra effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
what'd you guys think of that etiquette system? I think
It was
needs some-
awesome. We put a lot of planning into our, we talked about lists, and then we put a lot of planning, like, we need to have this, we need to have this. We want to get max sports. Because even if we get 0, we want to have max sports or etiquette. Because it's something attainable to everybody. Honestly, there shouldn't be a reason, and I'm not saying this to, look down on 18s, but there shouldn't be a reason to not get max etiquette in the format you had.
Well, to get to 20. And then,
get
of
to
course, we
20.
made votes. So if you are a nice guy, your vote would get you 2 extra points. So you could get up to 50 points, and then it would get divided by 2, or whatever it was. 45 and divided by 2. I think it was 45. I'm tired. I can't remember. Darren, any final thoughts on that? You had a kid? Or?
Yeah, I actually thought, so it's my first 2-day event, and actually first event where I travel further than Gatineau. So I thought, I didn't actually, I'll be honest with you, I didn't enjoy the gaming that much. Like Kevin, I thought that the level was a little bit too high at the level I enjoy playing. Other than my first game and my last game, I thought that I didn't enjoy the gaming that much, and it's super tiring. I was I don't know if you guys remember, I just left after the last game on the first day, and because I had to drive, and I was just I can't even go out to dinner, like I was just too wiped. I'm older than all you guys, so I can't last as long.
That's what she said.
What I really enjoyed
Ew.
about it was meeting everybody. So
Yeah.
a lot of people I met in person finally, who I either chat with on Facebook Messenger or watched the channel or listened to the podcasts. Lots of people knew who I was, and I didn't really know who anybody else was. So that was the best part of the 2 days for me, was to meet all these people. And Logan, you said that was going to happen, and you were right. So that was the best part of the thing for me, was meeting everybody. So that made it worth the trip just by itself. So
Yeah, that's one of the best
I
parts of
always
traveling.
enjoy meeting people. Especially because, like, I'm from Sudbury, so you guys get to all see each other and intermingle with each other. But when I come down, I get to see all these people. Some people say, hey, I know you from YouTube channel. Then I get to see other people. I'm like, it's just a great time.
yeah.
Yeah, I do. I will agree that, in my opinion, CanHammer Team Tournament, even since we began it 3 years ago, there are some teams that go for laughs. I would say it's the most competitive tournament in Canada that I've ever been to.
I'd agree.
It's tough. It's not like there's lots of people go there for a laugh, but the top
Still
10
bring hard
teams,
lists.
and it's a no joke. It's like, get your serious game on. Nobody's mean or anything, but yeah, I definitely understand when you would say, like, that was intense. Like when you're used to playing at P&P, like you lose a game, you can kind of like relax and maybe win a game. Here, you have to friggin' step it up because you'd lose a game and then you'd have to play like I lost a game and then had to play Fred, right? I was like, geez.
Yeah, and you've got your whole team on the line, like right.
Yeah, if you
that's the
screw up,
thing.
you hurt
If you
your
bomb
team,
in
right?
a singles event, it's not a big deal. Like you know, it's disappointing, but it's you're letting down, right? If you bomb in a team event, it's letting down the entire team, which is
Well,
which
look
is
at it
really
from our
rough.
perspective.
It's a lot of stress.
Like if I would have gotten 6 points off Yoshi, we would have won the event in hindsight. Because we would have tied you guys, we still would have played Team America, you still would have played Loaded Dice, and assuming that those games went the same, it was actually, this is the sad part, is it was my fault that we lost. Like, which is kind of sucks, but you win as a team, you lose as a team, right?
Happens, right? It's the same thing in my game, right? If we had one different dice roll, right?
Exactly. There's a million things like that, but I'm just saying, like, it does kind of hurt when it's like, that was my fault, that was my bad, like. But because we're gonna wrap up there, we're not gonna do a Pit My List this show because we're doing a Pit My List episode next week. It'll be a bonus episode. We're gonna go through about 3 or 4 lists, nothing crazy, just to get caught up. I'm not sure if it'll be all AOS or all 40K or a mix. So now we're going to go on to question and answer. So if you're following us in the Twitch stream still, please type in your questions and we'll answer them. We have no email or Twitter questions this week, so we'll go right on to Facebook. Logan, you want to ask away?
All right, so first question is from our friend BJ. So this is in regards to the CanHammer Team Tournament. Who you get paired against in the pregame portion is vital. What are some hot tips to ensure you have a good matchup or some control? We did everything from big plans to blind draws. So what my team has done all 3 years is we used a pairing spreadsheet that was developed by one of our former players, Nick. Basically, we figure out every possible matchup and how everyone's going to do in each of those matchups based on what their expert opinion is on it. And then we're able to figure out from that, who do we need to have out as our blocker, so they can pick their match, basically. And then who do we need to be holding back, or who do we need to drop in response to the first drop for the other team. When the pairing system lines up with how we expect it, it's worked flawlessly. So
that's the issue.
That
you're really only matching. It's almost all about who you hold in your hand and who you put first.
Yes.
Because it's only 4 man. So if you make one little mistake, there's no way to jig it, and a lot of it is guessing who they're going to drop first. That's like not if you guess correct. Okay, they're going to drop this list or this list. If you guess that correctly, you're going to win.
Yeah. So what we do is plan for any possible drop they have first. So we have basically, if no matter who the other team drops first, we have a plan to work against it.
Yeah, but you also have to put somebody face down, is what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
So sometimes it could be the wrong one. What I was talking about is if we do this again, we're going to go 5-player teams. That way there's 2 rounds of selection before the card in hand, and I feel that'll make it super tactical and a lot easier for people if we had 5 players, because then it's just a whole additional. So you'll put 1 player down, then 2 players, and then everything will go back to your hand except for the games that are matched. There'll be 2 games, and then everything goes back in your hands. You almost start fresh again.
Yep.
And I think that'll add a whole layer of tactical, because
it
honestly,
a lot.
there wasn't a lot of, like, there was tactics in the matchups. Don't get me wrong, we did lots of work on it, but it's not as tactical as it should be, in my opinion.
Agreed. It is. If you understand the pairing system, it is very, very easy to force specific matchups, and that is very advantageous when you're able to do that. And with adding a 5th player, or like in the ETC example for 8 rounds, it's nearly impossible. Apart from having that one blocker, it's almost impossible to prevent it.
Like, it was easy. So if we had, if a guy had Calexis and Sisters, we just would put Max down first, knowing that they would never put their Calexis and Sisters down to fight them because they want to save those for the demons. And then we would just keep Yanari in the hands. You can kill Calexis and Sisters, and we would know that they would keep one of those in the hand. And then the demons, of course, can deal with one of them if they need to. So next question.
Next question is from Mike Strang, my opponent last round. Why wasn't I picked for the fantasy draft? Flat out, I forgot you were on the team. That's literally the only reason I didn't pick you. But
I stand by my
fantasy team did very well, so I stand by my team.
Yeah, Logan won. I picked Tristan over you, man. I'm sorry. I only felt confident picking one Londoner.
You know why?
And Tristan's on the real ETC team.
I'll tell you why it happened. In addition to Tristan being on the ETC team, it's because Tristan's in that Facebook chat and you're not, Mike. You need to get in on that.
So you're not present. Like, we don't visually see you on a day-to-day basis.
You can't forget Renault's
see Tristan minutely. Yeah, and Renault, when he gets drunk, you can't remember him. You can't forget him. You can't forget that guy. He's like an animal.
All right, next question.
I was on Logan's team.
What's that?
Were we on your team, Logan?
No.
Didn't we do well?
My team was Dan Platt, Josh Deff.
Oh, sorry. I thought. Oh, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Josh Deff must have put you through the friggin' roof, Logan.
Oh, well, he got max every game, right? Except for Kieran.
Yeah, except for one. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, next question here, Jeff Brown. Are Knights' primary list a viable alternative in the ETC format, in either 8-man or 4-man? I think absolutely.
Yeah.
I think in both, it's absolutely. I think in the 4-man, you're generally going to see like 3 Knights, and then you're going to see more of something good, like Riptide Wing or something good, right? Like, you could even do Ynnari and 3 Knights if you want. You wouldn't do that, but you could if you wanted to. Whereas in the 8-man, you gotta do like the 4 Knights because you don't have something good to waste in like 800 points. But there's a lot of good options. So like, would I run the 3 Riptide Wing and the Knights again? Of course. I would also do, of course, Ynnari or Dark Eldar or Eldar and Knights in a 4-man environment. Sorry. I definitely think Knights have a place because of the matchups. Because when you take the Knight player, you spoil the guy with the Sisters of Silence or the Calexis. It's like a spoiler, right? Well, Max spoiled some AdMech armies as well in the matchup. So now oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because you can quote unquote choose your matchups, you don't have to deal with any possible list that you'll come up to like in a normal single person tournament. Your 3 Knights or 4 Knights or 5 Knights, you can pick the matchup where maybe the person can't even hurt your Knights, right? Like,
well, a good Knight player can win against most opponents, except for maybe Eldar. Taoist is like really dicey, right? You push into him, and if you make it, you make it. He's done. And then there's a few other matches that maybe will hurt you depending on Melta use and Grav use if they roll enough 6s. But you just get rid of those, and like the worst case scenario, if you suck out like some Sisters of Silence, it means that your Death Star player is going to get more points, so then you can afford to get less. In the large 8-person team, I still really like them. I was even thinking about doing like 2 Knight players, Renegade, but it's just too much. You want to do 1 Knight player. But I definitely love them with the Dark Eldar, with some Blood Angels, with something cool just to kind of back up some scoring. In 8-man, they're great because like you run out of armies.
Yep.
So 4-man, I could see you not taking them, but I think it's a spoiler. I think it did brilliant for like our team. It was awesome to have that Knight player with the Riptides. Max.
All right, next up, Jeff. Again, do you think there's only one Electro Bomb because people are accustomed to playing ITC? Absolutely.
I mean, I don't play a whole lot of ETC, but I never heard of this Electro Bomb thing before this ETC event, and I play a decent amount of ITC.
So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to sound like kind of a dick, but I only feel that the Electro Bomb did well because people weren't used to playing against it. So I feel like if people knew what it did and planned better in both list design, I don't think it would have done like it did, to be honest. I think, honestly, what was it? 4 of his wins were turn 2.
Yeah. Well,
so if you're getting tabled by the Electro Bomb turn 2 means you deployed very badly.
Yes, absolutely. If you're getting tabled in 1 to 2 turns, so I think it's actually a pretty deep question. So the reason there was only 1, I think, yes, is because nobody really knows about it if they don't get exposed to it, and basically nobody in North America gets exposed to it except maybe the guys that go to the Forge the Narrative tournaments. But to Chris's point as well, you have to fundamentally change how you design lists. A great example is any of the Tau lists I've ever played auto-lose against that. They have absolutely no tools to deal with it, because if I split deploy, I lose a whole bunch of stuff I can do. Also, my shooting is useless against it. And if I don't do that, or if I null deploy and don't get, like, let's say I don't get table turn 1, I put like a Riptide here and a Riptide here, my stuff's coming in piecemeal, and I can't do anything, I can't score, and stuff just dies. It's a very, very hard list to play against, because you have to have the tools to deal with it. You have to have something that can deal with a psychic. You have to either have an MSU approach or very heavy bubble wrapping. It requires a meta shift in order to deal with it. So I think it was very potent in this event because nobody did the things that were needed to deal with it, except for a very small handful of players.
Yeah, I was ready for it. Our team was definitely ready for it. But then again, when we played it, that matchup went pretty hard on Kieran, 4 points. So I can't really speak to that, but it's a stupid spell. Let's not lie, but it is part of the game. Like Will Paul and I played against it in Quebec City, and it was what it was, and we ended up winning against it. And you just got to plan, bubble wrap, and to Logan's point with the Tau, well, Tau aren't a good matchup for it in general.
No, you shouldn't play it in a team tournament. Like it shouldn't get paired.
If you start reading ETC lists for this year, there are no Riptides anymore. I don't know if you knew that.
No,
they don't play with Riptides in Europe.
Taking Piranha Wing, Ghost Keels, and that'll be about it.
So Piranha Wing, Ghost Keels could actually probably deal with that a little bit better because you don't need to be clumped. You don't think so at all? The reserves and the drones and
the Piranha Wing can delay it. That's it. There are no tools to kill it that Tau have access to, short of having a Calexis to do something with it, which is entirely possible. But you're not going to get it paired.
If you had 2 Storm Surges, you put them in a corner, like as a wall, with stuff behind it, and a Calexis right in front.
So the problem is that will work. It will stop you getting charged turn 1. That's it. As soon as that unit gets there, like this is the thing. A lot of people really underestimate the damage Wolfen do. Yes, they will die to stomps. They will die to anything. The problem is they will kill whatever they charge. So if that unit comes in, you're losing your 2 Storm Surges and that Calexis, like guaranteed. There's nothing you can do about it. Even in Death Star on Death Star fights, if you've got an invulnerable, like if you've got your 2+ invul saves and you've got your invisibility and whatever else on your unit, chances are you're still going to lose a vast majority of a Death Star going up against a Wolfen Death Star. They are
but then
exceptionally
you win.
potent.
Then the game's over, right?
Potentially.
And once you start killing his little like shit, for lack of a better word, that unit's immobile now.
Yes, yeah. So the thing is, it's not the only.
And you have
thing
Interceptor,
right?
so he drops the pot.
Yeah, there are ways to deal with it. It's very, very hard to deal with. I do think that it at ETC this year, I don't think you will see Tau get voluntarily paired against that list though. Yeah,
and to Logan's, I think if you're worried about it, take Josh Death's list, take 4 of your buddies, proxy it out, and play 10 games in a weekend with it. And I bet you by the end of the weekend, none of you will be scared of it anymore. But that's like
just 10 games in a weekend though.
4 games for Kevin. I meant 10 games because
once you play against it enough and get used to it, you'll figure out the things you need to do. But it does require list changes. That's the biggest thing.
If there's 6 of you, you could do 10 games quite quickly in one day. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But what's the next question?
All right, next question is not about 40k. This is from Clarence. What makes Sylvaneth good in Age of Sigmar? High level view.
Mobility. They can teleport and move.
Yep. And the hunters.
Yeah, Kurnoth hunters. And Alariel and Juthu is a great combo that I had good success with at Adepticon.
You don't even need Alariel. Durthu alone.
Yep. Well, but you got look. I don't know. You got to use Alariel. Come on, she's the queen.
It's an awesome model too. That's one thing I do really enjoy about Age of Sigmar is the cool models are also really good in game.
And they die. Yeah. That's the thing I like. Is I'm like, oh, you took that stupid friggin' model that's retarded. I'll kill it. Like if you watch our Worm World stream, Jason, like we lost, but Jason killed. What's his name there? Archeon. Yeah. Like in 40k, Archeon would have lived the whole game, ran around the board, and be like, haha. Yeah, whereas like in Age of Sigmar, it's like, well, you're still winning, but I'm gonna kill that guy. But I like Sylvaneth a lot because they have a lot of teleporting. You put the forest, you can kind of bait people. They have to stay back because if they don't, you're gonna teleport up and charge them. If they get too close and they're better at combat than you don't like the matchup, you can then teleport back away and go into like your objective mode. It's really good. You can do. They also have reserve mechanics. So in Age of Sigmar, reserves isn't a thing. But Sylvaneth, Stormcast have reserve mechanics. I can hold my characters in the forest realm,
The
And
forest
then when
route.
I've cleared off the stuff, my characters come on the objectives in the middle of the board, which are in forest, so they get cover, and you're at all these negatives because I'm Sylvaneth. So they basically, the mobility is the strength of that list.
Also,
And if you're not
Treekin
playing
are
that,
really good.
Treekin
the
are
giant.
amazing.
Yeah.
They just, no, the Treekin.
The Treekin
Those are the
models.
big
They're
four, man?
actually legacy
They're called
models.
something else now, but yeah. But yeah, so you can do a lot of crazy shit with it. That's why they're good. Mobility is the key to Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, it seems to be that way, which is really interesting because if you look at it from sort of a not deep level, a lot of the stuff seems like it moves really slowly. But then, of course,
Yes.
you got the Sylvanas stuff, you got the Stormcast stuff where you're teleporting, or you've got reserves and whatnot. It's really interesting. Then you've got other armies like Flesh Eater Courts where you've got very slow moving, all things considered, except for a small handful of units. But then you get cool stuff like Ghoul Patrol, where suddenly your stuff's outflanking everywhere, right?
Yeah.
It's coming out from any board edge. So you get a lot of tools that otherwise it seems like you don't have access to. And, of course, summoning.
And the thing, too, about Sigmar is sometimes it feels like the games just end. Like, 5 turns is fast to get on an objective.
That's a very fast game.
So you have to play the objectives from turn 1.
Yeah.
Kevin, you agree? Sorry, I stole your thunder.
No, I agree. Yeah, so movement's big, especially when my brother runs his 22-inch flying snakes.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
Tomb
okay.
Kings. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. All right, next question. Jason from Barry is asking, what heroes would you recommend for Stormcast Eternals army? I don't know
Number
if this
1.
recommendation has changed since we did a podcast on this.
Yes, it has.
Has it?
Yes,
Okay.
it has.
It's
'Cause
the Lord on
Lexor's
the
gone.
Dracoth.
Nope. Number 1 character in the Stormcast book, in my opinion, right now, is the Knight Heraldor.
What does he do? For those of us who don't know.
He basically allows you to pick a piece of terrain, and then you roll a die, and anybody within that range takes mortal wounds, like D3 or whatever. I can't remember the details off my head because I'm so tired. And he also allows you to nominate a unit, and then they can flee from combat, and then charge or shoot.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah,
But
so you can be like, oh, screw you, combat, on objective, like, clear this chaff unit off. Done.
in my opinion, it still has to be the 2+ rerollable save guy on the Drakennoth. On the Chicken Dragon.
Well, he has to be buffed to get that.
No, he doesn't. He gets it as long as he doesn't charge, doesn't he?
No.
I don't know. That thing stood against Illyrio for
that was a
4
3-up.
rounds of combat.
That was a 3-up.
Still pretty
Yeah,
good.
he must have been buffed, but he's pretty good. He's a lot of points. That's the issue. And my number 2 favorite character is the and the internet will disagree with me, is the Prime, Celestia Prime. He's my
Celestia
favorite.
Prime is a boss. So
I love him.
is the teleport bomb not a thing anymore? Like, it was the Knight Velexor that did that, right? And he was
It's 9 inches now. It's 9 inches.
I guess say 9 inches away.
Yeah.
That's not
And he
not
dropped
terrible, but it's a lot
60
worse.
points. He dropped 60 points because of it. It's actually still really good because you nominate anywhere on the board. So it's still a great, like, because now your reserves are in the Stormcast, if you go Allegiance, they're mandatory. So you start turn 1 rolling for reserves. So sometimes you might get a unit that's out of position, or that you had to bring down early, or that's like back here and you cleared the enemy, and he still allows you to go, that's mine, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah,
he's
you
not
can still drop on
garbage, he's
objectives.
just-
You can still do your shooting from backfield kind of thing, right?
Yeah. But I only run the Heraldor and the Prime now, and I don't own a Heraldor yet, but he's in my list, and I'm like buying one really soon.
Yeah,
It's the best.
Really
Prime,
soon,
the
but
Prime is just
right
an absolute
now.
beast, though.
The next guy that I like a lot too, which a lot of people don't, because he works really well with the Vlexor, is the Hammer Cape guy. Was he the Celestant, the Knight Celestant, or the Knight Callistant? One of the two. I keep forgetting what he does. But if he's your general, he gives a bubble of +1 to hit. And so the downside of Stormcast is you have to roll a 3+. So he comes in turn 1, but they come in your movement phase, so you can't use command abilities. So what I like to do is take a Vlexor and him. You give him his command ability, and then when you drop in your Hammer Strike Force,
Yes.
you then teleport this guy to your Hammer Strike Force to give them +1 to hit in the movement phase. Now, it's a very expensive combo, but you're literally coming in and nuking something.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's what I like. I would say, like, if you
Sweet,
need
yeah.
to buy one character, buy the Heraldor. And then the Prime has a place in my heart. And Jason and I used that, and both of us, I was like, man, everybody says don't take the Prime on the internet, and both of us still love the Prime, and we can't drop him. I don't know why. I just love that guy.
That's such
He
a
just
cool
does
model,
so
too.
much work. And he's not a monster, so if you get his whole base within terrain, he gets +1 cover. +1 save.
Nice. All right.
So when you play an opponent, sorry, that's this last point.
Yeah.
When you play an opponent that's like arguing, I said you have to have the whole base and cover, and they said no, it's not full base, it's partial base. I went, okay, so sure, even though it's full base, my prime touches cover and has a 2+ save now.
I'll take it.
Okay, sorry,
All
move
right.
on.
Moving on from here, we're on to the Twitch questions now. So these are the 2 people who are eligible to win our White Dwarf this week. So, first question is from CanHammer Jason. What one list would each of you say was the best overall list at team tournament? Or if you had to choose one list that you would take to ETC, which would it be from the CanHammer team tournament? So, Darren, what do you think?
Well, I think you can't go wrong with a double Wraith Knight Inari, to be honest. You can take almost all lists. Or
If
at
you have
least-
psychic defense, then yeah.
Yeah, so I think I don't know if you need 2 Wraith Knights, 1 Wraith Knight, and then you could
What
bring
did you
like
say?
some sisters or whatever. But yeah, why bring 1 when you can bring 2? But yeah, I think Inari is hard to beat right now.
It's not a question of needing 2 Wraith Knights.
It's a question of why not.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Why wouldn't you? So I guess, Kevin, your vote's the same?
Well, I think the best list, because what we've already talked about, I want to go with the electro displacement list. I don't know, like my Eldar list wouldn't be able to touch that list.
Of course,
I mean,
it would.
maybe
Yeah,
course it
the
would.
the crazy list.
Yeah, you'd be able to. You'd have to
Yeah?
play super dodgy. Like, you'd have to play the objective Maelstrom game. You wouldn't kill much.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I really like
it's
Wraith
definitely
Knight in each
doable.
corner. Wraith Knight in each
Yep.
corner.
Wraith Knight
You're
in
not
each
going to get tabled. Come in, play the objective game.
Yep.
I
Get
guess so,
6,
yeah.
7 points. Yeah.
Yep.
And I did like if I could choose any list I could take to ETC, I would love, like, just personally, I don't have the models. I would love to try Magnus Demon list. Not because it's overly good, just the list I would want to try that I don't have the models for.
Fair
I think
enough.
it's too risky to be like an auto pick. I think if you pick a Magnus Demon list, you have to be prepared with matchups. It's not a
Yeah, it's not an all
like
comers
so.
list.
So when you say
ETC.
that, it's not an all comers. Like
Yeah, no, I understand that.
it's really good against Yunari, but then when the guy soul bursts a 6 on his D cannon, your game's over, bro.
Yeah,
that
I'm
does
just-
happen. That
I
does
just say that because I'm not having fun playing my Eldar currently, so
That's
Well,
why I
that's
said
that's
that's
fair.
too. I
That's
wanted to be punished for making mistakes, and with Eldar, you don't get punished.
yeah.
So Chris,
Uh-oh.
what would you say?
Well, when you make an ETC team, obviously right now, the Yanari guy is the easy guy. Checkbox Yanari.
Yeah.
Or Eldar. But I like the Bark Star as well a lot, just because after CanHammer team, I felt like who's gonna beat a Bark Star? Like I never used to think that way, but now with the uncomp shit, and it's not ITC, who's gonna beat it? Like you can't kill it. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Like worst case, it's a 10-10. That's it.
no,
Like
no, that's not true at all. There are a lot of ways to deal with it. The problem is, the reason it's so good in ETC and so not good outside of it is because you can dodge the one match on the opposing team that's going to destroy it.
well, yeah, you got to do the dodging of like the Calexis and the sisters because they don't have the shooting.
It's
to deal
not
with them.
not the psychic powers that do it, right? You toss that list against a Yanari list, for example, or anything with a Wraith Knight. It doesn't matter what it is. If it has
Yanari's a good match for them.
Yanari's a terrible match for them.
No, for a Bark Star, it's fantastic.
It's absolutely
because
horrendous.
he
If
just
that
clips the ball.
Wraith Knight touches them, that star does nothing the entire game. It sits there, a unit of jet bikes goes behind it, it can't hit and run, and the rest of the army dies in one turn. It's
It
happened
can kill
frequently.
It can kill a Wraith
It
Knight.
can't hurt it. They're only strength 4 on the dogs.
Oh, but it's got power fists and power axes
Does it?
and hammer hand.
Are they going to get in range? That's the
Yeah,
thing.
and the range-
You have to
I
have
watched-
you have to have absolutely perfect positioning to be able to do anything, or you have to fish on every single librarian to get a hammer hand. And even
Well,
then,
so
you only wound on 6s. It's
We
very,
played
very hard.
Bark versus Yanari as a green match for the Bark. So I can't really speak to that. I feel like it's a good. I have a hard time with Eldar against it. I think because
Interesting.
it could just charge you.
So our Yanari player formerly played the Bark Star in multiple tournaments and confirmed it's a terrible match for it. Anyway, that said, in a team setting,
That's one guy though, right?
like
This is not just my opinion, but you're right.
So you mean I shouldn't have traded my 55 wolves to Jeff?
I don't know why you did that. That was crazy.
that's Jeff's problem now. Anyway,
But I don't. That's the beauty of ETC is there's no
Yes.
one list where I'd be
In-
like, you have to take
yeah,
this.
in a team tournament,
Because
it is
there is people that are
exceptionally
talking, like like Yanari does bleed the kill points, and
Yep.
people are planning for it. So if you did take a counter meta Eldar list, is that a bad thing? I don't know, right?
Yep, no, it's true. Anyway, I do agree. In a team setting, the Bark Star is absolutely amazing. It's a absolutely beautiful blocker list, and realistically, there's only going to be maybe one list on the opposing team that can deal with it. Drop it first, you're set. For me, it's actually a really hard choice between the Bark Star and Yanari with Double Wraith Knight, especially with the new Sisters of Silence detachment. You can just have an absolutely disgusting Yanari Hammer list with those
Cover that
sisters.
board.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That said, I mean, you can take that and plug it into any list, and it's amazing. So I think I actually got to go with Chris for this. For ETC, the Bark Star is amazing just because of the blocking potential. It frees up a Tau list to be a hammer instead of a blocker as well, which in the current
Well, it's a
meta,
winning blocker.
Yeah, winning. Yeah.
It's a blocker that generally wins its games.
Yeah, you're going to be a blocker that's getting 10, 11 points instead of 7 or 8.
It's not an
which
8-point
which is
blocker.
huge, which is absolutely huge, and it takes you away from sort of the negative thing in the meta right now, which is trying to run a Tau blocker, and there are a lot of lists that will just steamroll straight over that right now.
Well, if you're going ETC, let's face it, you're taking Yanari, you're taking a Tau,
Yeah.
you're taking a Necron player most likely,
Yeah.
with something in it. Those are the guaranteed. Demons can go a lot of ways, right? You can go the Magnus Demon list, you can go the other demon lists because
Yeah,
they're
the
still
classic
just as
demons
good.
are still really good. The double star, it's still fantastic.
Cool. So next question.
Next question. This is from John. Question for the group. Jason and Chris did an amazing.
John who? John
Greener.
Okay.
So, question for the group. Jason and Chris did an amazing job with the terrain. What advice would you give to people looking to acquire larger terrain collections?
Get them from Chris and Jason.
Yeah. So,
Honestly, it's either if you want to run a tournament, it's either a ton of money or a ton of work
Yeah.
to do the terrain, and that's it. There's no halfway to do it. There's no way to do terrain for cheap just because. Like you can go online, you can order, but it's going to add up really fast.
Yeah.
Jason and I, between the two of us, have like $30,000 in terrain. We do have like a rental agreement. I'm going to be open about this. I don't care. We do charge $15 a table to rent them for the weekend.
yeah, it's from event budget,
so
not for players.
Yeah, from the event budget. So and that covers gas and stuff. So we probably end up getting like, honestly, in the pocket, $7, $8, $10 a table in our pocket.
I mean,
And each table on average is like $300 to $500.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 50 events to get your money back. Now we do that just because we want to run cool events. We want to have the hobby and we want people to have fun. And if we don't do it, a lot of people won't do this. Like if we don't have that train, a lot of events won't happen. Now you could do things like borrow and just start collecting it. One thing that if you really want to do it on the cheap, I would say every weekend throughout the year, do something that's terrain related. So this weekend's the hill weekend. So you cut your hills on Friday, you glue the sand on Saturday, you paint them on Sunday, and then you're done, and you do like 300 hills, and then you do like 300 forests. You could do that.
when I was at Adepticon, I talked to the guy that was in charge of the terrain team, and they said they do terrain in 16 set runs. So they get a group of 5 guys, and they do it like 5 or 6 weekends throughout the year, and they kind of just get these 5 guys throughout the weekend and build 16 sets of terrain. I mean, because of our YouTube channel, I was jokingly and said we got all our terrain for free. We didn't get all our terrain for free. We got one set for free, but we have myself. I have 10 or 11 sets of terrain, similar quality of Chris's, and like it's just over time. Especially for the YouTube channel, it wasn't more tournaments for us, but YouTube channels. We wanted to make sure we had a variety. So whenever a good deal on a terrain set would pop up with something we really wanted, we kind of would just get it, and we added it up over time. But there are definitely things like
there are ways to
at-
fund it too, though.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
could. I would recommend if you're going to do it to start off with a 10-man event, do 5 tables on your own, and then build into the ticket price that you walk away with $100 or $200 or to buy terrain. And you'd be open with people. Hey guys, we're trying to fund terrain. The tournament owns it.
Yep.
And you could do that and just say, well, we're going to run one of these every 6 months.
Yep.
And we're going to add 2 tables every 6 months because that's the money that we make off the event.
That's what the War Machine Club here in Ottawa does, right? They run fundraiser events so they can buy their terrain, air quotes.
I just found that was too slow. It just took too long.
It takes a
and
long
I should
time
say,
for the budget that you need for the 40K tables. Absolutely.
I got to say that the terrain at the team tournament was off the hook. It was just awesome.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say, I'm not saying this as a club member of CanHammer, but just as somebody who's been to a lot of tournaments, I don't think there's any event out there, at least not anywhere near this scale, that rivals the terrain that was at CanHammer team tournament and at Bloodbath.
Wapaka rivals it.
Wapaka's not quite as big though, is it?
Du Bois kind of rivals it for sure.
Du
but
Bois
the
has
easiest way
great
is,
tables, but they're inconsistent. That's the problem. You have some that are just absolutely awful.
Well,
they're very creative and cool tables though.
Kind of shitty as well, but
I think the easiest way is go on YouTube. Look at there's some very simple tools you need to make terrain. A jigsaw is one of them. Some sort of foam cutter is another. And then you need some sand and just get some friends together. Have a weekend where you say, hey, we're going to build some terrain, not just for me, but for us to use in future events.
Yep.
And just do it. It might not look to like the standard of commission quality sets like you might see that Chris or Jason have, but at the same time, it's going to look leagues better of 90% of the tournaments that are out there, and just the random cut up and junk put together by lots of tournaments.
And
the other option too is it just depends how big your club is. If you have a 10-man club and your club wants to run the event, not yourself type thing. Like I think it's more like we have a smaller group that runs the events. But let's say you like if the entire CanHammer club, which is like 50 people, wanted to run CanHammer team, we could just go, hey guys, everybody bring one table.
Yep. The other way to do it, and this is to Kevin's point as well, and actually on that note, before I forget, check out the Terrain Tutor on YouTube. He does fantastic tutorials for that stuff.
Yeah, he's got some sweet videos.
There is something to be said for consistency over quality as well. And it's not to say that what we had at this tournament was lacking by any stretch. But take Nova, for example. The terrain is not great. Like the tables are not good looking, but they are exceptionally functional. And they're not an eyesore by any stretch. Like they're better than a lot of events out there, but they're not like top quality. But they are very consistent. They are very functional, and I don't think anybody can argue that the terrain is not good in terms of gameplay. And that stuff is literally it's 5 minutes with an X-Acto knife and some glue and a can of spray paint, and you've got a piece of terrain.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to do it, but ultimately, as I said, it's a lot of work or a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like that they probably had 50 guys build terrain for Nova.
It's taken them 10 years to do it.
Yeah. It doesn't happen overnight. Jason posted his thoughts on Twitch if you can read them.
Yeah, so he said, get some friends to make 10 tables worth, then buy a few tables a year and grow over time. Also, we'll never make our money back, but we don't do this for the money. As for organizing terrain, put one table worth of terrain in one bin and keep it to one bin per table. Don't mix and match your terrain. It ends up being a logistical nightmare, as we found out at Bloodbath last year.
You're welcome.
And of course, the fat mats and table war mats and the new frontline gaming mats are just outstanding. Same with table war and everyone. Not table war. Those are the fat mats. GameMat.eu and all the other companies that make them. There's tons of stuff out there.
Which, by the way,
massive time saver.
I just if you guys message CanHammer as I could probably set this up, but if you message as CanHammer GameMat.eu, they'll probably send you a bunch of mats for free.
We've already been talking.
Yeah, we've done that. It's just that Darren. So that's the one thing. The terrain for our tournaments and CanHammer are separate entities.
Yes.
Okay.
Not the same thing.
Which is weird, but because Jason and I started this, so the reason that we do it that way is that I wanted to be able to walk away if the events weren't being run the way in which I wanted them to. Mm-hmm. So if Capital City wasn't, I wanted tables for myself to be like, I can run tournaments in Cornwall, I can run tournaments here. I can do like 25, 30-man tournaments on my own, and that's what I wanted. And if Capital City didn't work out, I wanted to be able to just walk away and not have money. Like, so the way it stands right now for us is CanHammer Team and Capital City and AOS Minis, they all end the weekend at $0.
Yep.
So there is no like bickering. If it breaks up, we just walk away. Nobody owns anything.
Yeah.
It's
completely break even.
there's no bullshit. There's no stress. There's no like, well, I quit this tournament, you have to buy out my share, or I'm not going to help you run next year because I'm having a kid. There's nothing. It's all clean.
Yeah.
Now it does mean that it's personal for myself and Jason. So is that it for questions?
That is it for questions.
So I guess we could do between the two J's in the chat. 4+, it's Jason. 4.
So
1, 2, 3, 5.
I had continued to get 2 copies of White Dwarf every month. I have one I can give to the second person.
Ooh.
Sounds
there we go.
great. So
we got a
this
copy.
weekend
Shrink
was
wrap.
Twitch. Next month we're
Oh,
gonna
there we go.
switch it up though. We're gonna do we're
Great
probably gonna
things.
do like a post in Facebook where if
Oh.
you ask a question.
Did we have
Is
one
there
more
another
person with a question? Oh no, Ben is asking, but Ben didn't post a question.
What's he
late,
asking?
man.
Because Jason, no, let him in. We're gonna be nice.
All right. So we got to roll for this then. Let's let me pull up some rand.org here, random.org. So we've got
My brother did ask a question under my Twitch, and he not to win a prize, but he just wants to know if the old school points are going to be used for CanHammer, Teen
Oh,
Tournament.
sorry, I
Age of Sigmar.
totally missed that. Okay, cool. So we've got Irvin in there as well. Can I use my
We'll put him in
low-pointed
for winning it.
TKs?
No, we already
Okay.
have a copy of it. We don't need another copy.
All right.
Plus, it'll
Fine.
cost you more to ship it than it actually costs to buy. So
All right.
So anyway,
Yes, I know.
we're using General Handbook 1.0 for Day of Blood. For Capital City Bloodbath, if General Handbook 2.0 is released, we will use that. But it's not released yet, right? If it has to be officially released, and I can buy a
when's
copy.
when's the cutoff date?
We're
2
doing
weeks
sort of
before for
a
both?
July 15th cutoff for
Yeah,
most of the
around
stuff so
there.
far. Around there.
But if it's like July 17th, I'm totally
probably
going
do
General
it.
Handbook 2.0.
Yeah.
Can you guys set like a hard date here?
15th.
Yeah,
15th is a hard date,
15th will be
but
the
I'm
hard
not going to spoil it for one day. That's how
If
I
it's 16th, we'll be okay.
date. So
There's a standard deviation of.
I'm only I told
Standard
you.
deviation of 2 days.
all right.
So did Ben ask his
And
question?
here's Ben's question. How do you guys feel about this random English guy helping to represent your wonderful nation in August? We're on board. We're still part of the Commonwealth, so it's all good, man.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so 1, 2, it's Jason. 3,
Yep.
4, it's John. 5, 6, it's Ben.
All right.
And then we'll roll twice. We'll go down to 50. So
First
just roll the
result is
one.
a 3. So that's John.
So John wins 1.
And the second
And
result we got to do on a 4
4+ would be
plus.
Ben.
4 plus is Ben. It's a 3, so it's Jason. So nothing changes.
Jason, do you want it?
He'll be a while behind in the chat, but if he doesn't want it, we'll get it off to you,
It'll
Ben.
go to Ben. Sounds
15.
good. Okay, so for that, thanks for listening, guys. For feedback, email canhammer.podcast@gmail.com. We can go to canhammer.ca for more information about our YouTube page and all the other stuff we do. Give yourself a plug, Kevin.
Check out the Basement Collective, Twitter 103 on Twitch, the Basement Collective YouTube, and
Basement
Facebook.
Collective on Facebook. Yep.
yeah.
Cool. And where can you support us, Darren?
You can support us at all our social media sites, but especially on patreon.com/CanHammer if you want to help us produce more content.
Awesome.
And our latest patron is...
Shout outs
Logan?
to Jay, one of our Ottawa guys. He's supporting us at the chaplain tier, so he's going to be getting a preferred entry into our tournament, so he gets a chance to get into them before anyone else, and he's going to walk away with some dice down the road.
I know
Nice
Jay.
one, Jay.
I
Everyone
played
knows
Jay.
Jay before.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So some of our tournaments, like CanHammer Team, do sell out. So if we are affiliated with it, then he would actually get preferred treatment to sign up. Cool. So with that, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for joining us, Kevin. Thanks for joining us, Darren and Logan. And have a good
Be
one.
back again. Definitely. Have a good one.
Have a good night, guys.